Good evening and welcome to the Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, so get ready to get triggered. And welcome to the Raben Report's second ever summer special.
There's sound.
There's sound?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my name is Elliot Raben, and I'm your host with the most, as you might have heard in our intro. And with me, I have part of our expert panel for the only time this summer, Adam and Daniel. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
We're doing fabulous. It's
we're thriving, surviving.
Yeah, we're embracing the hot weather, and we're gonna get hotter with it. So
yeah, exactly.
In all forms.
Oh God.
Sounds good. So, unfortunately, Marshall got tied up with an election campaign last minute and couldn't make it. However, we've got three special guests in studio with us. Christina, who's been on the show before, Jaquan, and Marshall's last-minute replacement, Will. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so happy to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here, guys. Today, we're doing a live election summer special right on election night. Now, this is definitely our biggest show ever, and we're not going to want to, and you're not going to want to miss it. In this jam-packed 3-hour show, we'll be talking everything from the current state of Ontario to party platforms and what the impact of this election will mean for Ontario. Now, on top of that, we've got some pre-recorded streeter segments, which hopefully will work because for some reason the promo didn't work, but we'll figure that out. And we'll also be reading your live Facebook comments on air. And thanks to our gracious sponsors, we'll be giving away a special prize at around 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10. So 3 special prizes. You'll only be able to win by watching and commenting on the show. The grand prize is going to the person who's commented the most. All right? So today's show... Actually, before we get into it, I do have to give a very special thank you to Lori Beckstead, Sean Haswell, and Kevin Konarzewski for making this happen. Without those 3 Ryerson faculty members, this show would not have been possible. Specifically to Kevin Konarzewski, I really want to give a big thank you because the amount of help and support he's given me to setting up the studio and getting everything to work is just incredible, and he's the type of person who makes me feel so lucky to be in such a program like RTA at Ryerson. So thank you, Kevin. Hopefully you're watching because your efforts are greatly appreciated. And speaking of Ryerson, the opinions expressed on this show are not those of Ryerson or Ryerson faculty and are only those of the individual commentators. That goes for our sponsors as well. None of them have any political affiliation, so they are politically neutral. Now, today's show will be a bit different in terms of format. Usually we'd have a 5-minute recap of the week, followed by our main topic. This episode will be divided into sections from voter awareness to the party leaders, platforms, and biggest issues facing Ontario. Throughout, we'll also be playing some pre-recorded interviews that Marshall, Adam, and Daniel have done, and once again handing out those prizes. Note on Marshall, by the way, he might be calling in. Now, let's begin by recapping everyone's summers. Christina, why don't we start with you and tell us a little about yourself as well.
Okay. I just finished my 3rd year at McMaster studying combined honors in political science and communication studies. I'm currently doing an internship at a PR agency for the summer. And really that's all I've been doing so far this summer. But I am planning a trip. I'm going to Italy in a week and a half, so that'll be fun. But
What part?
we're going to a couple places. We're only staying in 2. We're staying in Rome and Naples. So, yeah, I've never been to Europe, so it's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, Jaquan, let's move on to you.
I don't know. I'm a student at Carleton University. I'm in legal studies. For my summer, I'm not really doing much, to be honest. I'm really just taking courses and, just enjoying my summer.
Sounds good. And can you tell us a little about yourself as well?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm in my 3rd year at Carleton. I'm 21. Hello. I don't know. What else can I say?
Student lives are boring.
Yeah, I really there's nothing exciting in my life to talk about ever. Oh, my birthday is in 2 days.
Right.
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Happy
Thank
early
you.
birthday.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Okay, and now Will, let's move on to you.
What's up, guys? Will Anderson. I host a podcast called the Will of the People podcast, as you can see by this little sticker conveniently placed on my microphone. This summer, I actually just moved into the 6. Graduated from Ryerson University with a degree in economics and finance, so that's pretty sweet. I haven't always been a political person, but lately I've been really into it, following the elections here in Canada pretty closely. And over the summer, I'm just writing a lot of music right now. Check me out on SoundCloud at Cringe Daddy. That's basically my life right now.
Sounds good. And now let's move on to our regulars. Daniel, let's start with you.
What have I been doing? Oh, hello, actually. Perfect. And there we go. We're in the green. Sorry. For my summer, I was recently working at Le Chateau, and then so that's retail, made a drastic change to working labor right now, and I'm trying to make a physical commitment to do something about my body. I feel too scrawny, and in terms of more recently today, I was doing canvassing for Hang Dong, and I would like to give out some support for him right now in his riding right now in his election. But yeah, I was canvassing that for today, and then spent the whole day on exploring the city after that. So it's I'm just enjoying life and just trying to move on, I guess. I don't know.
Fair enough. And now, Adam, how about you?
So I was a telemarketer for about a month, working with a family friend. And now, as stereotypical as NDP voters get, I'm unemployed. So I'm unemployed for the next 2 or so weeks, and then I have jumped on the bandwagon of nepotism, and I'm going to start working at the company that my dad works for. Not for my dad, but I'm still really grateful to be there, and I'm really excited and looking forward to it. I'm technically in summer school, but it's online, so I don't really feel like I'm in class.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I've just been really, really, really involved in this election. It's become a little bit of an obsession, but that's about it.
Yeah, I wish I joined earlier, to volunteer more. Would've been
same here.
Good time.
Same here.
Yeah. And now, I'll just say what I've been doing. I've been working 3 jobs. I've been doing.
Okay, make us all look bad. Why don't you? That's fine.
I've been doing nothing.
It's Adam can't keep one. Elliot has 3.
I got fired from a telemarketing position. Elliot has 3 jobs. That's okay.
I've done telemarketing, so I know the feel.
Okay.
It's a terrible job.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I've been. What the hell have I been doing? I've been doing my photo booth job where I do photo booths at events. I'm a sales manager at a property gear company, which you'll hear about later on the show. And then on top of that, just freelance work. And now the show that we've been preparing for a month. So that's been my summer.
Let me correct you. You've been preparing for a month.
Very, very important distinction.
Elliot's done a lot for this show. He's been in here since 12 o'clock every day.
Yeah,
almost every day.
If this was a basketball team, Elliot would definitely be
LeBron
the GOAT.
James.
Yeah, he'd be LeBron, Michael Jordan.
He's been hounding us, making
Pretty
sure
much.
that we're on top of our game, making sure we're confirming our guests. Big hats off to Elliot for
But
putting
big
this all
ideas for big
together.
plans. So
yeah.
there you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's really it. But now that we've gotten our summers, I think it needs to be raised
a bit more?
Yeah. Now that we've gotten our summers out of the way, let's talk about how the world has been during the summer.
Since our last episode, you mean? Or?
Well,
Yeah.
basically just
That's a lot.
how the world has been doing. Let's start with the Toronto van attack, which happened April 23rd. An individual who is called an intercel, who he calls himself incel, rented a van and ran over 10 people in Toronto by Yonge and Finch. So let's discuss that, right? The original thoughts were, first it was an accident, then people thought it was terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out to be technically neither. So unless you consider it terrorism, what's your take, guys?
Well, a bit of an anecdote, but for some of the survivors, my mom is an occupational therapist, and she's actually treating 3 of the survivors.
Oh wow.
So I think that like it hits really close to home for me.
Wow.
And
Like I'm sure that would have like a very like impacting
Yeah.
like effect on like, your mom. Like
yeah, no, for
trying to
sure.
help them,
Yeah,
you know?
no, and like it's been like she's been in and out of the ER working with them, and her employees have been in and out of the ERs. So I've heard a lot about the survivors and what they're going through. Yeah, I would consider it terrorism.
Right.
I don't feel ashamed of saying that.
Would any of you guys like to comment on that?
I agree with that. I think there's a stereotype or a label on what qualifies as terrorism, but I don't think I would disqualify it as terrorism. It was an act of violence against people for some set of beliefs that this guy had. So I don't know. I think it was, if not terrorism, an act of violence. It was just a really, really awful situation, and it kind of hit the city. Like, everybody's really been affected by this because I feel like this isn't something we're used to.
I remember like years ago we used to think that would never happen here, but
Exactly.
it's, like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, but
Well, it's part and parcel of living in a big city, right?
exactly.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to be. And I think it's pretty terrifying to think that, like, you know, in Toronto there are shootings sometimes, but the numbers are pretty low, especially compared with other major cities in the U.S.
That's something else we should talk about after too.
Yeah.
Definitely. But
Yeah.
like you can talk about gun control, which, you know, Canada has definitely done a lot of. But you can't do things like knife control and van control. I mean, you can barricade all of your sidewalks in the whole city, but what does that really tell you about the city, right? It tells you that we're living in fear.
Or that we're not safe. Like that's what some people are gonna think. Then,
Yeah.
like,
But at the same time, at what point do you ensure that people are safe? How many van attacks will there be? And honestly, as someone who just moved to the city, but I've been going here for many years for school and other events, it's pretty terrifying. Like I walk down Yonge Street every day, and there's not barricades even at a place like Yonge and Dundas Square, which is one of the busiest intersections in Toronto, even in Canada.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I hope that the police and even, you know, the government is doing enough to protect us, but what can they really do? I mean, some guy with a driver's license went and got a van, and it seems like it wasn't a very hard thing to do.
It's pretty scary knowing that like anyone with a G or a G1 or something like that could just like, or anyone could just really just grab a car and be able to cause so much havoc like that. I wanted to piggyback also on what we were talking about there, going to. There's like another breaking news thing, I guess. Like, there's just been like a lot of like violent crime happening in Toronto over the past like 2 weeks. Like, this is recent. Like, I just like yesterday, I keep seeing it on the news. Like, everyone's just using guns and stuff like that. So it's like, it's interesting to see like if some people are have these guns like legally or not. Because I don't think that would really change anything like of the crimes, but
that was really hard, really hard. I remember what was like weird for me was I was on campus and I got like the notification from, I think it was like CBC or something like that, and it said like van attack, and I was just like, oh, like my immediate thought was like, oh, like something happened somewhere else. And then I saw in Toronto and I was just like what, because I think the van attack where the guys had like jumped out with the knives, and I think in London it was that had happened before. So my mind was like, I immediately went to terrorism. I was like, what is this? What's going on? And especially so close to home, I was, it was hard.
Yeah.
And big shout out to the police officer who I'm sure everyone's
Yeah.
seen the video.
Yeah.
Like, the kind of courage that took. I mean, the guy's like simulating pulling a gun out of his pocket. And the cop didn't flinch. It was pretty incredible. So
it's part of Toronto Police's new initiative to try and like de-escalate hostage situations without taking their firearms out.
Yeah,
and I guess we've seen that like it can be used positively. So it's like,
well, they've always had trouble with that, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If you remember that situation with the guy in the bus
with Sammy Yatim?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Yeah,
It was Sammy something.
Sammy Yatim.
Sammy Yatim.
Yeah. So they've always kind of had to be careful with that.
I think that's another
too aggressive.
That's another breaking news that's also happening. I think the police officer who was in charge of that,
he broke his parole.
Yeah.
So they added a lot of time to his
Wasn't
sentence.
it 7 more years or something? No.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Don't break your parole, boys.
But let's move forward to our next story, which is a big one. The U.S. has moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Spicy.
It's been pretty divisive, but what's everyone's take on it? Will, let's start with you.
Oh wow. Well, I thought you were going to start with Adam.
This is how we treat our special guests.
I love it. Foreign policy isn't my strong suit, honestly. I did host a little debate between Adam and Aidan O'Connor on my podcast, and they talked about this actual move, and I got a chance to hear both of their perspectives. And honestly, it's tough because you can't please everyone. I think Donald Trump looks at Israel and thinks that he'd rather be on their side than the Palestinian side, probably for geopolitical and economic reasons, even political reasons back home with the Israeli and also the Jewish population living in the United States, who's a strong base for him. But other than that, like I'm not informed enough about it to really have a stance on it, and it is really divisive. I try to stay out of it.
Fair enough. Christina, let's move on to you.
I kind of feel the same way as Will, only because I feel like there's been kind of this feeling around the whole subject that, like, certain people can't really have an opinion on it, or you can't get enough information on it. It is very divisive, and I notice, like, even at, like, school talking about it and whatnot, it seems like it's more of a, rather than it being an issue of, I don't know how to word it, but it seems like it's a cultural issue right now, at least over here, because obviously we're not immersed in that. That's not something we're actually dealing with. So it seems like sort of from the outside, like from the young people and people who aren't involved in the situation, it seems like it's more of a cultural divide right now. At least, like, I know a lot of I have some Palestinian friends who are just like devastated by the whole thing, and it's just like it's hard to give a solid opinion on it, only because I feel like I've kind of, in the same way as Will, sort of stepped back from it, only because I don't know enough and I don't want to involve myself in something that's gonna throw me into some kind of category, and I don't know. It's a hard subject.
No, it's crazy divisive. Like,
yeah.
I usually just opt out too. I mean, the only real opinion I have is, I guess I don't really understand the move, like, on the global stage. Like, I just don't understand, like, what the benefit, right, like, necessarily right now would be, because, I don't know, America's doing the whole, like, make America great again, we're first kind of thing. We're not worrying about other countries. So I just don't, and Israel's not going anywhere kind of thing. And I just don't understand why right now it was necessary. So, yeah. That's
It also seems like an unnecessary interference. Like,
right,
I don't know if, the way that I feel about it, I don't know if Trump needed to put himself in.
Yeah.
And that's already an ongoing conflict. I don't know. I mean, this could also just be that I'm uninformed, but
It's interesting though, because like every single presidential candidate, or actually president, like after they've taken office or even before their campaign, they've always made that plea that I'm going to move the embassy to Jerusalem as a big statement for Israel. But like, it's Trump's the first person to actually make that claim and then actually like keep his word on that.
Yeah.
So that's scary, and like it's kind of like not like unrelated, but like obviously some other smaller countries, they're gonna like follow suit just out of like American obedience, like to
Guatemala.
Yeah, exactly.
Honduras,
Specific. What are you gonna mention
Paraguay.
that? A lot of Latin countries are giving support, and not necessarily that it means much, like their support, but like they're just trying to like cause problems and make unrest and yeah.
I'm going to be brief because I could really take up the whole 3 hours talking about this. Basically, if you look at history, there have been 16 countries that have had embassies in Jerusalem, and one by one they all moved out because they knew how divisive this issue was. This embassy move to Jerusalem was passed in the U.S. Congress in 1995 with a loophole that every 6 months a president could cite a doctrine saying they would propone the move for the next 6 months. And for every 6 months since 1995, every president has
Just keep doing that.
just kept postponing the move.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it was Jaquan that was talking about, why did Trump do it? To me, it looks like Trump is really out of people to like him. There are very few groups that will like Trump. And if he can get the pro-American Israeli or Jewish lobby on his side, then that's a bonus that no other president can have and no other candidate can have. And I think this was the crown jewel of what the American Israeli lobby was pushing for, was this move of the embassy to Jerusalem. What I don't understand is that, if the Jewish people really believe that Jerusalem is the eternal, undivided capital for the Jewish people in Israel, why do they need the embassy to validate that?
Well, I would say just, I like to stay neutral during the show, but I'm going to throw my opinion on during the show for everything. I think it's just a matter of if everybody else can have their embassy in their capital, why can't the one Jewish state? And I think that's where the issue lies. Like, I think the validation is there too, in the sense that like it proves that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and the capital of the Jewish people.
But it doesn't make any sense, though.
Like 60 people died. 60 Palestinians died.
Well, you also have to take in the fact that about 50 of them were Hamas operatives.
Right?
But
moving the embassy there would recognize it to be like... to recognize as a one-state solution, to recognize that there maybe shouldn't even be a Palestinian Jerusalem there. Then.
It caused a lot more conflict than it did good, and all it really did was it converted a consulate into an embassy. I don't really see that.
I personally am like for it, but like I can see why.
And to me, it was just unnecessary incitement of violence.
Right.
And it really, like I said this when I did the debate on Will's podcast. Shout out to the Will of the People. When I did this on Will's podcast, the thing that I kept repeating was that it really, really put the final nail in the coffin for the two-state solution, which is really bad for me.
Yeah, because I remember if reading some of the treaties and stuff, like most of the ideas proposed
East Jerusalem to be the capital of the future Palestinian state, and that just didn't. It didn't help. Yeah. So I don't agree with the move. And I get the Palestinian heartbreak, and I get the Israeli joy, but it was unnecessary for me. That's how I see it. Yeah. Personally.
Fair enough. And we'll definitely be doing an episode all together on the Israeli-Palestinian issue, but not today. Let's move on to our next
bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Our next story, which is the Iran deal. More Trump. He backed out of the Iran deal. I know, Adam, you weren't too happy about that.
No, I was pretty upset.
So why don't you tell us why?
For me, the Iran deal was a guarantee that Iran would not develop its nuclear program, and it would lift the sanctions off of the Iranian people. All the opposition to the Iranian regime always come out, like Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, other Western powers. They always come out and they're like, we believe in the spirit of the Iranian people that are being oppressed by the regime, and removing the sanctions really would remove a lot of the barriers for the Iranian people. And I think that pulling out of the deal was bad for Trump, because it didn't make things good. It it put the U.S. in a bad position, because now Iran is more motivated to develop its nuclear program, because it doesn't see the means to not enrich its uranium. But I'm hoping the EU will continue the Iran deal and also sort of counterbalance the U.S. pulling out of it. And I think it was another move to to sort of please Israel more than do anything else, because Israel was the only really other major opponent of the Iran deal.
Right.
But yeah,
let's move on to our guests. Any thoughts on this? What are your takes on Trump backing out of it?
Like I said before, I don't know too much about foreign policy, but from what I know, it wasn't a very good deal. And from what I saw, a lot of people defending it. They weren't saying much in defense of it. Nobody really had a defense of it. So from what I heard, it wasn't a very good deal. So
do you think Trump can make a better deal then? Because he has that book.
He wrote The Art of the Deal.
Yeah,
if anyone can make a deal, it's Trump. Right?
I was watching his tweets with North Korea, and he's like, always know when to back away and stuff like that. He always saying crazy stuff like that.
Oh my god!
But sorry, back to what you were saying.
No. I was saying I'm still waiting on his negotiating skills. To be honest, I haven't seen them full force yet. The great negotiator yet, but
go ahead.
He can still pull through. I don't know.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, I'm no Trump supporter by any means, but there is this theory going around that Trump is constantly playing 4D chess, and a lot of Trump supporters like to throw that around. And to play devil's advocate on the whole North Korea thing, I mean, the Koreans have been at war for how many years now? 50, 60 years. And, peace talks have not really been going anywhere. And Donald Trump comes out and says, look, my button is way bigger. We're going to bomb the shit out of them. He's saying all this ridiculous stuff. And everyone takes it as a joke. They see that he's tweeting. He looks like an immature guy. But now the Korean leaders met. I mean, they crossed the borders together symbolically.
Big
That's,
deal.
that's huge.
Yeah,
Big
no,
deal.
that is huge.
And the South Korean officials said that this comes down to Donald Trump. We couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah.
So I mean, what does that say? I think he clearly does have some negotiating skills, although his antics are quite strange.
Yeah.
And Christina, any
you that.
thoughts?
Honestly, like everything Adam said, because Adam and I have very aligned thinking. So pretty much he's going to take a lot of the words out of my mouth.
I'll stay
but...
quiet.
So we'll let you talk first in that case.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. Kind of agree. It's weird. Like, I agree with you. I don't know if I've seen enough of like the whole negotiation thing. I don't know if I've seen him do anything to me that's like, well, I don't find him impressive. I haven't seen any deals, but I will agree with the Korean situation, because that is something that, to give him credit, as much as I hate the guy, to give him credit, he made something happen that maybe wasn't going to happen on its own. So,
I mean, yeah.
Well, to some extent, and I think like the Iran deal, like I think it's a weird. It's weird to me. I'm waiting to see what he's done in other places, but haven't seen much. So
Yeah, I think like part of that was like him. Well, like one of the only defenses I heard of it was him being like, pundits and stuff saying that he just wanted to like reverse everything from like the Obama era and anything that was like.
Yeah, there was a joke on Twitter that was like breaking Donald Trump pulls out of the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
Which I think in most ways isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it definitely might have just been an extra like jab.
yeah.
Fair enough. So before we go on to our next topic, in terms of news recap, I just want to mention our grand prize that we're giving away is for the person that comments the most. Now, Adam will be reading off the comments. On top of that, our first and second prizes are based on stuff that will be said on the show, and that includes the pre-recorded segments. So make sure to listen carefully. I just want to remind the viewers about that, right?
Yeah.
Because we got some...
And I'm not talking, like, don't spam the comment section
Yeah.
here. Like, don't try and spell your name without any interruptions. Like,
yeah, but it's just, we'll... Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I thought you were going to yak.
I sure hope not. This equipment's expensive, I know. But, yeah, so make sure to be listening, and we'll be asking the question related to it in a little bit. So, to our next topic, Adam, we're going to go back to you because you mentioned this, U.S. politics, in the sense of there have been some elections going on in the U.S. again.
Some primaries.
Yeah.
So the whole sort of rally cry of the Democrats now is to try and flip the House and Senate blue in the midterm elections. Mm-hmm. So for the viewers that don't know, every 2 years there's midterm elections in the United States, and they can vote different senators that are either retiring or that are running for re-election, blah, blah, blah. And in this year, a lot of Republican senators are retiring. So the Democratic Party is hoping to flip those seats blue to get control.
Yeah, that'll really like help impede Trump's progress.
To get control of the Senate back and then get control of the House back. So in the last few elections, even smaller, just congressional districts in the states, a lot of seats have been going to Democrats, and a lot of seats have been going to very progressive sort of landmark Democrats, like the first black women of some districts, the first openly gay folks of some districts, and different sort of landmark candidates like that. So it's very indicative of how the midterms in November are going to go, and that was just something that I was interested in looking at to see how I can predict the midterm elections. So I was just very interested in that. I can't think of any names offhand, other than the no
one really cares about them on a first name basis.
Yeah,
it's just more about like they're getting their vote like that.
Like the two that I can think of was obviously Doug Jones. That's his name? Doug Jones winning the Alabama Senate against Roy Moore. And there was a video that went viral recently of this guy giving a deputation in Illinois that was voting on some very anti-gay law, saying that he was raised by two moms.
Right.
And he was sort of giving his backstory on being raised by two moms.
Right.
And he's now running for that congressional district.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only.
That's pretty shocking.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I can
It's
think
funny. Like, I was actually now that we've actually you've triggered me in one sense, but in a good way, in a very positive way. I'd like to personally say to anyone who's celebrating here to Happy Pride. Obviously, not what happened like a week ago,
of.
but it's weird. Like I was at the gym the other day, and it's like some people were talking about it, and specifically they were talking like, and that's why I think it's important for the Ontario election. Like some people are very concerned about like the new sex ed curriculum that's happening for younger kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the person's criticizing the new sex ed program, and he's like, I really don't think that they should be teaching like homosexuality and stuff like that, like in the textbook. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And he's like, you know, like it's not really okay to be gay. Like, and he actually said that like, pretty out loud, like at the gym. And I'm like I was like kind of in shock, and I'm like, how can you like just be like that rude, like that openly rude about that, you know?
Yeah.
Like regardless of someone's like what they want to do, like people are just like rude like that, and they don't really think about what they say.
Yeah, no, the campaign, if you're going to the Ryerson gym, the campaign is
Mm-hmm.
actually run by one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Claudia Paulak. I hope I pronounced that right. And that was her campaign.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it.
And then the last piece of news, and we're going to rush through this, but is Trudeau and his pipeline.
I'm going to let the guests take this one. I've been
Yeah.
talking a lot. So you guys run through this.
Who'd like to take it first?
I'll take it first.
Go ahead.
Gang, gang.
Okay, well, I'll be pretty brief, but I think the one thing that bothers me the most on the whole, in the whole situation, is that, you know, Trudeau had this platform for environment and not anti-pipeline, but he had this platform that he was he had this platform he was working on, and now there's the Trans Mountain pipeline, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So and now suddenly that's like this big project we're working on, and it just seems kind of he's contradicting himself in what he stands for, I'd say. So that's like the biggest issue for me. And the other thing is it's a bit conflicting because obviously, and this is a reoccurring issue with pipelines, is the Indigenous communities and building through their reserves. And but I have actually, unless I'm wrong, I have seen that there's actually quite a bit of a divide between the Indigenous communities, because some of them have actually signed off on approval for it and support of it, and then there's obviously another half that are totally opposed to it. So it is a complicated situation. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of
It's a lot of jobs.
It's a lot of, yes, and it is a lot of jobs. So but I think the biggest thing for me is that Trudeau's made this decision that just seems to totally go against what he was saying wouldn't happen. But
like it's like almost like it's like you're gonna stop the inevitable. Like
Yeah.
it's like, I just feel like then like if like we realize that we have the power to do like crazy projects like that, but
not that
like,
it isn't a huge. Not that it isn't a huge project,
Right.
and I don't want to say whether.
what I'm saying is it could have a very huge impactful like environmental impact if we
Yeah.
don't take care of it properly. So
yeah,
Well,
definitely.
Right.
yeah.
I think there's actually an ethical argument in favor of this pipeline. Now, obviously, I don't think Trudeau did the right thing to let it get to this point where no one wanted to invest their capital in Canada and the government had to step in. I mean, if you look at the situation between BC and Alberta, you've got environmental radicals like Elizabeth May getting arrested when people are trying to install pipelines or scout the ground. I mean, Canada's just been overrun by these radicals who are actually funded by the Saudis, the Russian, and the U.S. There's special interest groups that are actually interfering in our elections and funding special interest groups that are anti-pipeline in Canada. When you look at Canada, we're actually one of the greenest and most environmentally friendly countries in the world, especially oil-producing countries. Oil isn't going anywhere. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. We all drive cars. We all heat our homes. It's all based on oil. Oil's even in our plastics. It's in our foods. It's everywhere. The fact that people are so anti-pipeline, I mean, what is the alternative?
Yeah.
Buying oil from Saudi Arabia, which has horrendous human rights violations, buying it from America. I mean, the same people who are so anti-Trump are also anti-pipeline. You realize that by being anti-pipeline, you're helping the U.S. oil industry. The people that are claiming that Russia is interfering in our elections and in U.S. elections are supporting the Russian economy by not supporting Canadian, clean, environmentally friendly oil that will generate so much revenue and income in Canada that could be used to give Indigenous people things like clean drinking water.
Bam!
Boom. Boom. Where's the mic?
Hot.
I just heard
Just
Trump.
rip it off and drop it.
Jeez.
Wow.
Oh,
I don't know. What does everyone else think?
we definitely got to get your
felt
take.
that passion.
We definitely got to get his take on the.
Yeah, Jaquan, you want to get in
I
on this?
concur.
What's that thing?
I concur.
We definitely want to talk about it. What's it called? The taxes for aluminum and steel, the trade war that's
the
happening
tariffs,
between.
tariffs.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do we have time, Elliot?
Not really.
Oh.
So,
I feel like there's more. Yeah.
Maybe if we have
yeah,
a break after.
Yeah. So
If we've
let's
got time later, we'll come back to it.
let's move on to the polls haven't closed yet, so we're dealing
We've
with
got
Excuse me.
18 minutes until the
18
polls
minutes.
close.
Bum, bum, bum.
So,
my God.
yeah, 18 minutes till the polls close. So since we're waiting for that, we're going to talk about, how aware people are, because based on our interviews that we've done, people really don't know about, the fact that there's an election or whatnot. So we're going to play that, and hopefully it works, so just bear with us, okay?
Sir, have you heard about the election at all?
No.
No? You haven't heard about it? Have you heard about the election at all? The provincial election? No. You don't know at all? Quick question. Have you heard about the election at all? That's okay. You don't need to be a citizen. Excuse me, sir. What have you heard about the election at all? Have you heard anything about it? No? No. Just wondering if you know anything about the provincial election? Excuse me, sir. Would you like to say anything about the election? Excuse me. Any of you guys have any thoughts about the election? No? Nothing to share?
I'm very involved.
Perfect. That's good to hear. How are you involved?
I'm on the board of directors of one of the riding associations.
Have you heard about the election at all?
Yes, I have, but briefly. It's not really promoted a lot to the youth, especially like on social media.
Right.
Like all I've been hearing, like starting on YouTube, is stuff like about Kathleen Wynne, Duckworth, and another.
Well, honestly, I have not heard much about it.
You haven't heard anything about it?
No.
What have you heard
The
about it?
provincial
The provincial
election,
yes.
I've heard Rob Ford is running. I have heard people don't like Catherine Wynne for a lot of reasons that
Right.
sometimes just seem like a little bit of
hear
misogyny
any-
baked in there.
Did you hear anything?
But you know what? I don't know enough about the details to give a truly informed opinion. So maybe they have actual criticisms of her.
Right.
But that's literally all I've heard.
I do plan on voting. I just don't know what each candidate stands on and where I stand on it as well. So until I do, I'm not sure where I stand.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about voting before. Kind of like my mom has pressured me to vote. She's like, go vote. But I don't really have any personal opinions about it. I don't really want to.
Thinking about voting this year because I haven't in the past, and because of my lack of voting, I really don't have the right to have an opinion because I'm not contributing to what's going on. So this year I'm trying to learn as much as I can about every party and what they represent and what they're going to be doing for us, and then make an educated vote from that.
Yes, I'm going to be voting, but I'll be keeping a look at the polls and everything and doing my research and everything and make sure to get everyone and get the youth to vote.
Very important. As a citizen of Canada, it is your right and your duty to be voting for the person of your choice.
Yes,
Yeah?
but now only because we've talked.
That's good to hear.
Because
I'm
I
happy
was
that-
actually thinking oh, whatever. But you know what? No, that's apathy is not helping anything. So you guys care enough to be in Dundas Square. I will care enough.
Yeah, we want to hear what the people have to say, Are you going to vote? Why or why not?
Well, I have a little busy schedule, but not this year, but next year I'll definitely vote. This year I have some commitments to do for myself. But
Everyone that is thinking about not voting, please take a second chance and please go and vote, because as I said, it is your future that you're very making a decision on. And if you don't vote, it's your own fault. Whoever gets in,
Right.
you have no comeback on
You have
it.
no one else to blame except for yourself.
Exactly.
If you've done anything today, you've made me think.
I'm voting is because, one, I think Rob Ford's kind of incompetent, and I think Kathleen Wood's corrupt, and I think my vote is going to prevent that.
Okay. For me specifically, I think it's like I'm contributing to I guess the decision making of society and things like that, and like where we're going to lean to as a society.
Yeah. What I want to get to the politicians is that you have to pay attention to the lower and middle class. For the higher class, I understand, but you guys already make enough money as it is. I'm from a low-income family, a low-immigrant family, and Toronto is basically full of immigrants, and none of it is appealing to the parties.
And life isn't easy here either.
No, it's hard. I mean, like my parents are from the Philippines. They had to immigrate here, and it cost like hundreds and thousands of dollars, like just for one person to come here. And the immigration system is not helping that because Canada and Toronto, like we're multicultural. Yeah. We're supposed to appeal to the multicultural and appeal to the masses. But the fact that only the politicians are only supporting a few, it does not make sense at all.
I'm voting because it is my privilege to vote. And if I don't vote, it's my own fault, whoever gets in. And by voting today, I'm voting for the future.
We'll think about it.
And we are back. So that was our first pre-recorded segment of the show. What'd you guys think of that?
Ooh, can I give feedback? I'd just like to give a special shout out to the Rob Ford comment. That guy
what was that word he used?
He said Rob Ford is incompetent. Unfortunately, you don't know your facts, honey.
Yeah.
Rob Ford's
too
just
soon.
Battle of the Dead.
There's actually, speaking of Rob Ford, but like fun fact, I actually met Bill Blair the morning of the day that Rob Ford died.
Whoa.
So I met him in the morning, and Rob Ford died in the afternoon.
Oh, shit.
It was on this Canadian Jewish Political Affairs Committee trip, so that was cool. But let's get down to the nitty gritty and understand. I've been watching too much playing too much HQ.
Hello, HQ. Steve Rogowski here. Oh my God.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
do you win at least?
I got to question 8, I think.
Okay.
I've gotten as high as 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
10.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to understand, like, why are people so uninformed and on top of that apathetic about it? Like, why are
they're proud that they don't know?
They
shit.
don't know and they don't care. Literally, Why? Because we have such low voter turnouts. Like in 2014, I think in the 2014 election, like about 49% of the eligible voting population voted.
Yeah.
So less than why am I talking like Obama? But less than
40% of people.
less than 50% of eligible voters voted, right? And that's down from the previous election, which was about 52%. So I don't
pretty garbage.
I don't understand, right? Even looking at the RSU elections that happened at Ryerson, how many people? What percentage of people voted at
it? Was about
that's terrible.
20.
There was voter turnout than last year's one, right?
Last year we got really high voter turnout, also because there were 3 slates. This year there were only 2, and it was just I'm not going to get too far into that because I ran and I'm kind of biased.
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it was low.
Yeah, just let's get Christina's take on it.
You want to
take on why people don't know and don't care about the politics?
That's a really good question. I'm always really surprised when like people have like next to no knowledge, like no idea like what the parties are, what the basis of
they
the
don't
parties.
know they don't know basic politics. Yeah.
Basic things like who's running whatever party, like not even knowing the names or let alone the faces. Like it's, to me, it's like shocking, and I can't really put my finger on why it is people don't know anything and why they don't care about the fact that they don't know anything. I would say that a big issue we have, and we were talking about this before the podcast, is that young people want to say the most, and they're online tweeting whatever about get out and vote, it's your right, blah blah blah, and none of them go and vote. So
And it's the easiest thing to do.
It's this culture of pretending you know things and pretending that you're involved, but then you're...
It's the Twitter finger culture.
And then you're too lazy to get your ass up and go and vote. It doesn't make sense to me. So I actually, if anybody else has an opinion, I would like to know why you think people don't vote.
It's sad.
It is.
It's a trend that's been happening like since forever, which is weird.
Especially the young people.
Yeah. And
I think... Or sorry, just one thing I think is that maybe we're not teaching kids early enough about politics. Maybe that's it. Like maybe we're just like, because I don't remember in school ever being told like, oh, when you turn 18 you can vote and these are the parties. Like there's no basic political knowledge that you're taught.
I totally agree.
You know, like there should be some kind of... Like, we had to do civics and careers.
Yeah,
I can't tell you what I
nothing.
got out of that. I got absolutely nothing out of that. Why can't we have a course that teaches you the basics on politics, keeps you up to speed with what's happening in current day?
Yeah.
Just give them, like, a heads up and a head start on politics, because I just don't think... I think the young people just don't know anything.
There's no, like, true mandatory course that's, like, outside of the civics and careers course. And it's a real shame because like I've heard that like I was thankful enough that we had my politics course. That's why I got interested in it like through my grade 12 high school class, and I feel like it should be mandatory, and that should be like an issue that's to help like bring out young people. Like we've seen like recently like here like at Ryerson, like they've like really been trying to push to get young people to be more active with like the youth town hall.
Yeah.
Like they brought like Andrea Horwath and who else?
That happened here.
And also there was the Are You Engage, where we had voter sort of mock polls, which was really organized by Daniel List. Daniel List was our former VP Education. Shout out to him, big role model. Shout out Daniel List. Christina and I definitely remember grade 12 politics, but
that was a good course.
That was a good class.
Shout out to Mr. Chang.
Marshall, this was actually Marshall's job, but he can't be here today because he's campaigning with local councillor Denzel Min and Wong. But shout out to Marshall. Marshall comments: if you only start caring later on in life, it is a lot easier to think you know more than you actually do. Just my hypothesis. And I think that says a lot to how older people and how very old people have such a weight in this election. And I think that the younger we start educating them, like Christina said, the better things will be and the more representative things will be. Zagros has a comment here that is drowned out in all his other comments that mentions representation by many, not by a few. Shout out to Zagros. I'm going to let the guests talk a little bit more than me. So Will and Jaquan, what do you think?
I was just thinking, like, while you guys were talking, I would much rather have somebody who doesn't really know what's going on, I think, than like voting, than somebody who's like only getting all their information off of like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. I think because like not to get into bias and all that kind of stuff, but I think like they tend to lean a certain way. Most times, and it doesn't matter the way, but like it always is biased, the information they're seeing. So someone who doesn't really know anything, I think they'd be giving everything more of an open shot. Whereas like I literally hear people be like, oh well, you know, like Doug Ford, like he's not, but for example, like Doug Ford's like a murderer. I saw an article on Facebook, and like they truly believe it, and they go around and tell people, and like people believe it, and it's like okay, all right, and like these are like issues that they're actually voting on. They're like, I'm not voting for him because he's a murderer, and you're like, all right, man.
Too much politics based on fake news.
And I kind of agree.
They're too lit to politics. That's what it is.
I kind of agree and disagree with Jaquan. You know, I think it's interesting because all the young people you see on Twitter, it's crazy. Everyone's saying, like, you're 18, like, go out and vote. If you don't vote, we can't be friends. Yeah. I'm here saying, like, actually, like, if you don't know anything, don't vote. Because, like, and I think everyone says it's your civic duty to go and vote, and it's, you have a, you know, we're so privileged to have that right. And it's true, we are very privileged. But at the same time, if you don't know what you're voting on, you have no information whatsoever, like, just stay home. Because that's how you get, like, radical people in power who really just appease people with emotions, and it does go both ways. You get people who are think they're informed because they go on Facebook and see crazy memes like Jaquan was talking about, Doug Ford's a murderer, and things like that just simply aren't true. So this rhetoric that all young people need to go and vote, I kind of disagree with. No offense, like I think if all young people actually inform themselves, it'd be great. And going back to Christina's point about educating people at a young age. Like, I think that's great. People need to be civically engaged, and if we just don't find that important at all, we'll kind of lose our way here. But at the same time, there is kind of might be an unintended consequence. Like, who's going to teach the kids about politics? Is it going to be someone who's like a radical activist? I know like a lot of people, and I don't want to sling any mud towards the NDP, but I'm sure we're going to get into it later in our show. I mean, the NDP, we all know some of their candidates are radical activists. Are they also our teachers in schools? Like, who's going to be teaching kids about politics at a young age, and what kind of influence will they be making on these children?
Yeah, I think we also have to agree on like what informed means, because I think a lot of people see like articles and stuff on Facebook and think they're actually informed and think they know what's going on. So when you say, "Oh, are you an informed voter?" They're like, "Yeah, I am," and it's not the case at all. Also, I don't know, like I hear a lot of like specifically liberals in Canada talking about like I think they don't notice how much that maybe Trump's like anti-establishment stuff has seeped in, maybe, but like, or kind of drifted up north. But like literally like talking to people like all the time, they're always like, well, I'm not gonna vote because everybody's corrupt, and I'm not gonna vote because everybody's corrupt. Like that's kind of the general feel I get of why people don't vote. They're like, I don't believe that my vote will actually invoke any change, so what's the point, kind of thing.
Preach.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Someone commented, Doug Ford killed my hamster. Oh, it's Marshall. Shout out. That's a pretty funny comment. Give that guy a prize. Also, shout out to Marshall. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast.
Yeah, me as well. I appreciate it.
And
Marshall, you're really missed.
You are.
Yeah, this is really weird. Like with him not being here, like I'm used to watching it, and like he's usually sitting in the corner, and I'm like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
The seat's empty, cold and barren.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, maybe we'll put Will in that seat, but we can't, put somebody in Marshall's seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, won't do him justice.
It's just weird.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to ruin his ergonomics anyway.
Marshall will hopefully be calling at around 9 o'clock, so in about 5 minutes. We're 5 minutes away from the polls closing.
Actually, we're 2 minutes away.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What?
I'm looking at.
Oh no, I've got 8:58 here.
Maybe I
got 8:55.
Anyway,
Is anyone else super nervous right
Wrong.
Yeah,
I have butterflies.
Wrong.
Buck beer.
No.
Buck beer.
Marshall says he can call now. Actually, he's asking if we want him to call.
Let's wait until the polls close.
No, let's give him.
Let's just finish this segment, right? Especially because we'll have the segment where he's talking to people, which is better for him to comment on, right? But I want to know, what do we think about mandatory voting laws? Because we've talked about why people are apathetic and the fact that they're not, interested.
Just one word for that one then. Impractical. There you go.
Impractical.
Impractical.
Wait, so then what do you say
with the favorite
to a country like Australia that has that, and they have like 96% voting turnout?
Here's the thing about countries like Australia and Argentina.
Australia.
Australia and Argentina, countries that have mandatory voting, it's ingrained into the culture. Canada doesn't have that. We are the most apathetic people on this planet.
Yeah.
I think that it has to start slowly, and then if we can build a voter culture where we can get 70 or 65% voter turnout willingly, then maybe we can have that conversation about mandatory voting. Like in Argentina, you get the day off from work. There's community barbecues. It's a whole celebration.
I'm down for community barbecue.
Yeah, like the whole like classic like asado kind of barbecue. You get the whole thing. And it's a whole sort of celebration and this community sort of outing where you all go to vote in groups and whatever. Here, it's like you go to vote. Yeah, cool. Okay. So I think that we need to build that slowly. Yeah, Zagros agrees with me. I love you, Zagros.
And make sure to be commenting, guys, because it's really important. But do you guys in the other room have any thoughts about mandatory voting laws and whether they're a good fit or not?
Yeah, I would say impractical is good way of putting
Will
it.
shaking his head. I don't know if
I'm
that's for or
cringing
against.
so hard. Cringe daddy.
Cringe daddy official.
No, I think it's tyranny, and that's the only word I can put to it. I mean, forcing people to do anything against their will is tyrannical. Forcing people to vote actually defeats the purpose of having a healthy and functioning democracy.
Right.
Because people, as much as they have the right to vote, also have the right not to vote. That's my opinion on that.
The polls just closed.
Oh,
Boom.
the polls
Bam.
have just closed.
Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
So that's a big
Will
deal.
close his point. Wow.
Yeah.
But I also want to mention, off of Will's point, speaking of democracy, Adam, you interviewed somebody who was actually against democracy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he terrified me.
So-
because, Adam, you'll tell
Yeah.
the story about what his name is, and that's what
Okay, so I started
terrifying me.
interviewing this guy, and I asked him what his name is, and he says Jihad, and I'm like, okay. Caught me a little off guard, but the name means, holy war in Arabic, so I can understand that it's so
Holy.
That it's I don't think that they planned for that to be literally translated.
Yeah.
So his
Some bad marketing right there.
name is like, so he started talking to me. He's like, listen, my English isn't very good, but I hope I can get my point across. I'm like, yeah, no worries. We're all friends here. And he starts talking, and he's like shaking his head at me the whole time. And then I'm like, do you have any, because we're asking, generic questions about voting and democracy. And then I'm like, do you have any opinions on democracy? And he's like, I actually don't believe in it. And I said, okay. I'm like, where are you from? He's like, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, there are too many stupid people on the street. You cannot expect the stupid people to become smart overnight. We cannot have stupid people deciding our decisions. It is better if that is taken into the control of a monarchy. And I was like, okay, all right.
This guy just screams aristocrat. Like,
yeah, like he's like, I'm like, all right, thanks, man, for your input. And it was, I don't know, like, I always imagine people that live in like oppressive monarchies like Saudi Arabia. I always imagine like a pluralistic hate for the monarchy, but I forget that there are general supporters for the monarchy, and it just kind of sort of caught me off guard, and I was not ready to interview him. So yeah, that's my story. I hope you liked it.
It's the risk that we take, like when we interview people in Young and Dundas. There's some sketchy people there.
Yeah, we had a couple dancers, we had a couple singers. There was one lady who was very insistent on getting her point across to you, that she returned to the mic literally 7 times. So she'd leave, like she'd mic drop, and then she'd come back.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah, then there was the guy that took the mic in his own hands.
Oh yeah. That happened with Marshall, so that was fun. Rule number 1, literally, that they teach us in our program: don't give the mic to somebody.
But it's funny how every time you give the mic to them, they go off. Like, they explode
because they feel they have.
I'm the captain of the ship.
So let's actually get to our first sponsor. We're going to give away a prize. Now, the sponsor, the very first sponsor is Woofapalooza. Now, the prize is a gift card to Ren's Pets, valued at $25.
25 big ones.
Provided by Woofapalooza. Woofapalooza is a non-profit organization founded by Karina Paoletti, based out of Vaughan, that supports the dog community. It holds an annual doggo, and its third
pupper,
and
big old pupper.
Its third year is happening this Sunday. God bless you. Holy
you
Jesus!
blessed?
I sneezed like a dad. Sorry.
Baruch Hashem. So happening this Sunday, June 10th, at the Woodbridge Fairgrounds. It is the biggest and best dog event in Vaughan, and you should definitely come on down with your dog. I'll be there with my camera because I do all their media, so you'll see a familiar face. I've never had a more fun and more enjoyable experience working for a nonprofit. Truly a great place to be. So the prize we'll be giving away in just a bit, but the question is, Will said something, and the question is, what did Will say is a reason not to vote? So the majority of us were talking about, the importance of voting, but Will gave a reason for why he understands people shouldn't vote. So if you were watching, comment down below, and the first person that comments the answer will be getting that $25 gift card.
Marshall's asking if he can call.
Yes, let's get Marshall in now, because I think we're gonna play his segment actually. So let's call him in. Let's have him call right now. We're gonna get him on the phone, and then we're gonna play his segment. So Marshall, if you're watching, please call. Boom, and the winner is Zagros.
Yay.
So hopefully,
definitely no.
Isn't he a cat though?
Wait, no, that's not. I don't think that's the reason. No, that's not the answer.
Wow.
Sorry, Zagros.
It was not about. It was not about. It was not about mandatory voting laws. It was when we were talking about apathy. We all said that we understand reasons for people not voting, but he said, there's a reason for why he understands people wouldn't vote. So hopefully if you can get that answer. Huh? Well, I can't say the answer.
No. I'm asking the viewers.
Oh yeah, Zagros, I'm sorry you're upset. Yeah. So
sad reaction.
let's move on. So let's get Marshall to call in. Hopefully he's gonna call in right now. Is he calling in? Please call in because we got a show.
He's trolling us.
He's like, man's about to get beat.
Good try.
Well, you know what? I can't.
Bоже
mой. I'll stick to Russian. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. If nobody answers that question, then we'll what?
Oh man.
Oy vey. Is he calling in?
Doesn't look
I don't
like
see it.
I sent him a message. He hasn't responded.
Just Well,
Okay.
just when he calls us, we'll just.
Well, I
figure it
just don't want him to interrupt the segment that we're playing. But anyway, let's just play the next segment. Which, since the polls have closed, Marshall.
Oh! I see a shot. Some of it move.
Secrecy. We're gonna play the segment of Marshall asking people who they're gonna vote for.
Hey there, who are you voting for?
In what election?
The upcoming Ontario election, June 7th.
I have no idea yet, to be honest. I have not looked into it yet. Just finished school, started work.
I think we all need a change. So at this time, I'm going to go for Ford. So I want a change. I wouldn't vote for NDP. I'll be very honest with you. But yes, definitely for a change. I have no other alternative but to go for Ford.
NDP.
NDP, and how come?
They're the best party.
Would you like to elaborate?
Honest, actually care about people.
Okay.
Hardworking. If we were smart, we'd all vote NDP, but that's not going to happen. Because.
And why?
Why? Because it always goes from one spectrum to the other. So we're going straight from Liberals right back to PCs, and that's what's going to happen and keep happening unless NDP get in power somehow.
No, we've had an NDP government in Ontario before.
A long time ago. I think Jack Layton would have got in, guys. If Jack Layton was alive, he would have been in. Thank you. Have a great day. Mic drop.
Honestly, I would vote Liberal if it wasn't for Kathleen Wynne, but I'm not too sure who I'm going to vote for now.
Okay.
I run a company, so both the Conservatives and Liberals, I'm kind of like figuring out which one's going to benefit me and also my company, but at the same time, it's just hard to really make the decision at this point.
It's definitely going to be Ford. I don't think there's much of a choice there.
Probably NDP.
NDP, okay. How come?
Anybody but Ford.
Okay, how come?
Hate Ford.
That's fair.
Who am I voting for?
Yes.
I don't even know yet. I have no clue.
Do you have any thoughts on Kathleen Wynne, Doug Ford, or Andrea Horvath?
Well, I wouldn't vote for Kathleen Wynne. I know Doug Ford's a bit of a gangster, but I don't know.
I think Zagros got the answer again.
What's the answer? Yes, Zagros got the answer. That is correct. So congratulations, Zagros. Hopefully you have an animal at home that you can use the money on. And otherwise, like, I don't know what you're gonna do with like pet food, unless you're into that. But anyway, yeah, congratulations on winning that $25 gift card.
Marshall said the call dropped.
Yeah, it's because I hung up on him.
Yeah, because he hung up. So, the question now, let's move forward until he calls back. But we've received a lot of mixed reviews with actually quite a bit of support for the NDP. How have they gained so much support? Let's not talk about necessarily their platform or whatnot, but what have they done in general to gain so much support?
The NDP?
I think,
yeah.
Just not be Doug Ford, I think.
No.
Or
it's not be Kathleen Wynne.
Yeah, for sure. Not be Kathleen Wynne.
Yeah.
Okay, that's more of a fair thing to say.
It was just like a perfect storm kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it was a good timing for them.
Yeah.
I think was a big thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the NDP wins tonight and gets Andrea Horwath in the premier seat, we have no one to blame but Kathleen Wynne.
Yeah.
Because it was the biggest ego move of her to run in the first place. Like, her approval ratings were like 12% at the time, like an all-time low. And she thought, oh yeah, I'm going to lead my party into another election victory. She was out of her mind. It was a huge ego mood. And in the debates, she said, this isn't about me. This is about the province and the kids. This is all about you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
We
And
all
the
know
concession proved that too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like, what was that? I found that to be so
understand
disrespectful.
that
Like,
thing. Yeah. I don't get her concession. I don't. It's like, I'm not going to win, but still vote Liberal.
Right. Yeah. I
don't get the strategy.
I think it's all the Liberals who would have voted for her. At least,
Pick it up. That's Marshall. Press the button.
Hello.
Press the button. Now, let's turn him on. Marshall,
Now
you
can you
there?
put it back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow. The prodigal son has
There we
returned.
go.
There
Marshall
he
is
is.
here.
In the house.
Marshall has arrived. How
Kiss
are you,
me
Marshall?
through the phone.
I'm good.
Through the
I'm
phone.
just getting to the election viewing thing, the election viewing event, and it's been a long day. Been at work since just before 9, and oh boy,
it's good.
I'm
So
hungry and I'm tired, and I just want this to be over.
So how are you excited for this for the local election that's happening in the constituency? You're excited for
Yeah, you know what? Like, I have loved working for Denzel Min Wong over the last a couple months. He's, a fantastic guy, fantastic candidate. Got along with him so well right from the off.
Mhm.
And he's going up against Michael Coutu. And this guy is a cabinet minister or a cabinet executive, I believe is the proper term, something like that. Executive councilman is the right term for Kathleen Wynne's executive council, and he's very popular in the riding. However, we've seen a lot of good feedback. We've seen a lot of good results in our polling, and I'm optimistic, and I really hope we can take this, turn it blue.
Nice.
Fair enough. I was just pulling up an image of Marshall just so that we have context of who's on the
Oh,
phone.
just so that people know what I look like? Okay.
There we go.
It's a little outdated photo, but
That is the first image that popped up on Google Images. Just letting you know.
What picture is it?
it's one with you clean shaven. You're rocking that pretty nice polo shirt. It's like a flannel or something.
Well, that's okay because I'm clean shaven right now. I shaved the beard off.
Oh, did you now?
Oy
Yeah.
vey.
I like.
So then let's talk about the next question, which is, it seems that people are actually scared of Kathleen Wynne. I wonder why, but what do you make of that? Because literally the guy at the end, he was just like, I'm not voting for Wynne. No, I Kathleen Wynne. Doug Ford's a bit of a gangster, but what do people like? Are the fears of Kathleen Wynne like real, or are people just like
So it's what I like to call low-tier politics. And maybe I could have thought of a more creative name for it. But that's not to defend Kathleen Wynne, but that is to say that a lot of people don't like her simply because they hear she's bad. They hear scandal after scandal. And there has been scandals, of course. I mean, there's been all sorts of scandals. The e-health scandal, the orange air ambulance scandal, the gas plant scandal. That was Dalton McGuinty, but the destruction of documents was done under Wynne's control.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug. And I can see why people are really concerned hearing all these scandals to somebody who's maybe not that involved with politics, who doesn't read about politics, who doesn't watch the news every day. Maybe they just hear scandal. It can really worry a voter, and I can totally see why people are scared.
Well,
Whether you're somebody who just hears the headlines, just reads the headlines, or somebody who actually reads into things, I get it. But I don't think that she's like scary. I don't think scary is the right word to use for her. Just like she's done. Time for a timeout for the Liberals.
Would you let her babysit your niece or nephew though, Marshall? I mean, she is.
Yeah,
kinda scary.
sure.
Wow, that's bold.
That's
bold.
I think that she's the kind of babysitter who wouldn't give my niece or nephew, my proverbial niece or nephew, the attention that they maybe need, but I don't think that she puts them in any danger or anything.
Oh my Christ. Okay.
One more question?
Yeah. So the last one is a big one, but as Adam mentioned,
I can wait out here.
where's he going? The polls have closed.
Yes.
So the question is, what are some of the ridings that will be easiest to call? So what are our predictions? And what are going to be the obvious results of some ridings? Marshall, let's start with you since you're working on a campaign right now.
So I'm going to say, just off the top of my head, Thornhill is going to be PC.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Whitby, my hometown. Shout out to the hometown. Jaquan, you know how it is.
Yeah.
That's going to go solid blue. My boy Lauren
Oh, yeah.
is going to be our MPP. Love that man. I'm calling blue for Pickering with Peter Beston-Salvi. Calling blue for Ajax with Rod Phillips. Calling blue for Tobico North with our boy Doug Ford, of course. I'm calling blue for Tobico Center with King Surma. Or is that right? Is that King Surma?
I think you already confirmed. Yeah, Thornhill.
Oh, Thornhill's
just got
already
confirmed.
done?
Yeah.
That was fat. Well, I mean,
oh man,
personally, thank God. But that is, you see how honest this show is. This is not fake news. Marshall called it, and it happened right away. But it's done.
They've called 4 seats for the PCs, 3 seats for the NDP.
Okay, wait. So I want to wait. Let's see. Wait. I want to hear what Adam has to say. The polls.
Okay, so they've called 4 seats for the PCs. They're leading in 67. They've called 3 seats for the NDP. They're leading in 31. They've called 0 seats for the Liberals, and they're leading in 7.
Shit.
And there's 1 seat leading Green, which is Mike Schreiner in Guelph.
You know what? Good for Mike Schreiner.
Yeah. You know?
So out there.
Yeah.
To put himself out there. There's actually a bunch of new parties running. We got the Libertarian Party, we got the Trillium Party of Ontario. I'm just
the
naming
New People's
the
Choice
New
Party.
People's Change, the None of the Above Party.
Yeah.
And the Libertarian Party, congrats to them because they've got a full slate for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our
bold
friends
move,
is actually running.
Really?
In the High Park neighborhood.
I actually have a friend running in that party too. A good family friend, Jim Gilchrist, who was my coach in hockey for many years.
Yeah,
as a
I know
kid.
the name.
Shout out, Jim.
Yeah, total beauty. I mean, successful businessman in Burlington, my hometown. All around great guy. I'm excited to see how he does in this election.
Are there any other polls that are easy to call? Let's move on.
So let's say for NDP, let's say
Hamilton Center,
Oshawa, Hamilton, Niagara, maybe Welland.
Algoma, remember?
Algoma's big.
I'm going to show a live look at the polls right now.
Like the entire giant swath of Northern Ontario. But now I want to say something that I think has been a really big factor here. Is now we had all the party leaders come to Ryerson a while back. I don't know who attended that, but
the youth hall, you mean, right, or something?
That was Vic Fideli was the leader of the PCs, the interim leader of the PCs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that was so eye-opening to me about how this election was going to go, because you saw how the party leaders behaved, and even Vic Fideli, even though he knew he wasn't going to be the leader long term, he stayed and talked to people for so long. Mike Schreiner stayed and talked to people for so long. Horvath, now, I wanted to talk to her, and I couldn't seem to. I think she kind of went for people she knew. That's just my guess, but she seemed to just kind of go for people she knew, maybe people who volunteer with her, but people who I knew were NDP supporters are the only people she was making herself available to. But Kathleen Wynne, she was out of there like a bat out of hell, like a speeding bullet, 60 miles an hour, road runner, just getting the hell out of there. I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to say hello to Kathleen, have a little chat, but she was just gone. And, I think that really just kind of reflects on how this election's gone, because at that point, that was when the NDP was still behind the Liberals. The Liberals were still in second place, and potentially, we didn't know that they were going to be doing this poorly at that point. But it's really shown to me how we're going to go and how things have gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I want to see, are there any other polls that our guests want to call?
Toronto, St. Paul for the Liberals. I think
really?
they're going to win. I think they're going to win one or. I'm going to say they're going to win 4 seats, but Toronto, St. Paul, my riding where I live now, University Rosedale, could very well go Liberal. Toronto Centre is looking less and less likely to go Liberal, but that's another one they've got well or good. I don't know. And then maybe let's say I don't know if Kathleen Wynne can even win her own riding, Don Valley West.
It just flipped to her right now.
Really?
So,
yeah.
Hold on, let me put that up on screen.
My instinct is to say Don Valley West for the Liberals, yeah.
My friend is actually working
that's close,
on his
though.
campaign, on Don Valley West campaign. And there's quite a bit of support for the candidate there. I don't know his name.
John Kieran.
He's a good guy.
You know him?
I'm good. Yeah, I don't know him.
That man.
I don't
like
know
that
him,
man.
but like I've watched a lot of his interviews and I looked into him. Not a bad dude.
Yeah. So it's actually has it ever happened that a sitting premier has lost her seat in the next election?
70 years
Yes,
ago.
70 years ago.
George Drew, when he was the premier of Ontario, I want to say, a couple decades ago, I don't know, like 50, 60 years ago, he lost his own seat and
That's
was
crazy.
premier.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So obviously, then you lose your seat. You can't be premier, let alone even if you get a
No,
majority.
you can be premier. This guy, George Drew, is still the premier.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that work then?
It's called ruling from the hallway or something like that. It's
Isn't that what Jagmeet Singh is kind of doing right now?
That's what Jagmeet Singh's doing. That's what Doug Ford's doing. That's what Doug Ford's been doing since he became the leader of the party. He's not in Queen's Park, but he runs the party vis-a-vis Vic Fideli. I think I just used the term vis-a-vis completely wrong there. I was trying to be cultured. So I just want everybody listening to forget that I even tried to use that term. But So he runs the party through Vic Fideli during Parliament being in session.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to hear from our guests, though. Are there any polls that Christina, Will, or Jaquan that you believe are going to go straight to like a quick win, like it's easy to call?
Oh God. I would actually say I'm not sure about my riding. It seems that it.
What's your riding?
Don Valley East.
Yeah, the one that Marshall's
It's blue
working
right
on.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I.
Oh shit, guys! I gotta go. Guys, I really gotta go.
Okay.
I think we just won.
Oh.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, guys, I gotta go.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my
well,
God.
congratulations.
I keep getting interrupted by this crazy shit.
Yeah, that is.
No way.
Okay, well, I think Marshall's
Well,
gone.
That's our riding.
I guess
That is our riding.
I guess congratulations to
East?
Marshall
Yeah,
because he was working hard on the campaign, and that's why he couldn't be on
Well,
the show.
They're winning right
So-
now in that. So
13 out of 67 polls reporting, and they're up by about 50 votes.
Is he gone? Is Marshall gone?
Yeah.
okay.
I heard a scream in the background.
Yeah,
Did
'cause
anybody else hear that?
I think somebody
I
was.
think they know something that we don't.
I feel like that was
Yeah.
Marshall screaming, but out of celebration. But anyway, that was all you heard of Marshall
Hey, Mike
this episode.
Schreiner won. Mike Schreiner won.
Oh,
Yay.
congratulations to Mark Schreiner.
Oh, this is all very.
This is wow.
Into our microphones.
This is
Yeah.
kill the viewers' ears. Yeah.
Yes.
But that is incredible. Actually, is that? Did we have a Green Party seat before in
Never.
there?
Never.
And how much did he win by?
I'll tell you right now. Give me a second.
These are shocking results, guys.
Live as they come. Oh my God.
Like live from other sources.
You heard it here first, though.
Oh no,
We cite our sources.
Michelle Couteau's back in the lead. I don't know.
And she's the
Mike
No,
Schreiner.
Michael,
Mike Schreiner.
Michael.
Mike Schreiner.
Michael Couteau?
7,839
For which one?
votes to the NDP's 3,475.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's.
And
done.
what's your riding? What's that riding?
That is Guelph. Just Guelph.
Guelph. Okay. Well, good for him.
Good for Mike Schreiner.
It's
I'm
great
really
that we're
happy
actually
about
getting
that.
somebody, other than the PCs, Libs, or NDP
Yeah.
in government.
Yeah, no,
Because I
good.
know for a long time I was doing some research. We had a huge. I guess they were the Green Party, but it was called the Farmers Party. Like a long time ago in the 1800s, 1900s, they had a lot of seats in Parliament. So I would assume that's the Green Party now. But congratulations to Mr. Schreiner.
They have still not elected any Liberals. They have elected 15 NDP MPPs, and 28 PC MPPs, but none for the Liberals just yet.
Christina is shocked.
This is all
That's yeah.
I came into this having like no expectations because this is like one of the weirdest elections.
Yeah.
Like this is so strange. All of the candidates are whack.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, me too.
Which is good because this is an exciting show. Like
Very true. Very true.
I don't think we've ever been this shocked on the show. I think this is the most shocking episode because especially everything.
I think Trump's
I want to know just what just
election.
happened.
Oh,
in
fair
March.
enough.
it just
fair
blew
enough.
everything up. If we look at the GTA 2, like it's either there's no liberal, like there's barely any liberal support there as well.
Michelle Couteau's back in the lead in Don Valley East, and he's up by about 200 right now.
And that's That's the riding that Marshall's working on?
Yeah,
and that's
the
where
one.
he said they called it.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But they say that she's in I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back to it.
It's only about 17 out of 67 polls right now.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It's a nail biter.
Jaquan is like...
I'm sweating.
Face palming with the microphone right now. I think I feel the same way. I'm actually pretty terrified at the concept of the NDP controlling this province, honestly. It's really terrifying. I think Doug Ford made a great point in the debate. He said, go to your employer on Monday and ask what would happen to your job if the NDP, God forbid, ran our government.
Just to give you guys some calming energy, Whitby's Conservative is up by almost 3,000 right now.
Lauren.
And Oshawa is now tipped NDP.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really?
23 out of 52 polls
Bob
reporting.
Cameron was the
Bob Chapman is the PC.
Chapman.
Jennifer French is the NDP. And it has now tipped towards the NDP. So we'll see.
I would also like to comment. I'm shocked at how many people here are PCs. I mean, amongst this group of
that's
individuals.
the thing, because
I didn't know so many young people. I'm not PC, but I didn't know that so many of you were.
We tried to get a balanced show because we have two PCs in the room with you. You're NDP, right? Yeah. Adam's NDP. What? No. What are you? What do you support?
Okay, no, I didn't say I don't support NDP. I said I voted strategically. I am conflicted about parties right now. So
okay. So you're not. Let's just say you're not PC.
I'm a dipper.
I am not PC, but
what are you?
I'm NDP.
You're NDP. Okay, so we got an NDP. We got.
I'm just still
I'm
technically
left.
I'm just a human.
I'm technically undecided.
Actually,
it's been fighting like that for a year and a half now.
According to the video of the lady who asked you a question, you said you're voting Liberal.
I did say I was going to vote Liberal. Yeah.
So. And then
there's a difference between your vote and stuff like that, and but we'll see what goes.
But so obviously very exciting, what we've got going on. We're gonna get back to the polls a little later on. But what I want to move on now is Rob Ford. We're gonna dip into the candidates now, and the first one will be Rob Ford. Now,
Rob or Doug?
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
That guy just got us all off track, eh?
Wow.
The guy in the video?
Yeah.
It's too soon.
Tricked you.
Are you here, Rob?
I cannot believe I got that wrong. It's been great hosting the Raben Report. I think that this is the end.
You are now listening to the Will of the People podcast.
It's literally written Rob Ford on my damn sheet. I actually wrote Rob Ford. That's the problem. Okay, well, God rest his soul, but we're going to move on to Doug Ford. We're going to move on to Doug Ford, who, by the way, actually sang me happy birthday to my face.
Wow.
Just FYI. And that was enough to get my vote, just saying. So, I mean, Andrew Horvath, Kathleen Wynne, your move. But, yeah, we're going to move on to his, to that segment about God damn it. Doug Ford, okay? No problem. We're going to go to Adam's segment right now, where he asked people about the comparisons between Doug Ford and Donald Trump. Now, don't make any comments, guys. We want to see what the people say first. I see you biting your, Christina, you're nervous. But let's see what people have to say about that.
And throughout the election, we've heard a few comparisons that Kathleen Wynne has made between Doug Ford and Donald Trump. Yeah. What do you make of those?
Pretty accurate. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, Doug Ford is a populist, and so he's playing from the Trump playbook. Kathleen Wynne is sort of more mainstream and playing from the Liberal playbook. So
Donald Trump might cause problems in the whole world. Ford can only cause problems in Ontario.
I wouldn't comment on that because I haven't heard about that. So better do we stay silent on that.
Oh no, that's a lot of hogwash as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. But it's all rhetoric, election time, and try to. A lot of politicians seem to do this today. We're taking the American model of, making someone else look bad, whatever way they can. So that's all I figure.
Beautiful. The more Donald Trump, the more Rob Ford. Doug Ford is not enough Donald Trump. He's not enough Rob Ford.
I think it's not uncalled for. I think
perhaps Doug Ford has kind of like drawn those parallels himself by calling her like a nasty woman or something like that. I can't remember what he said exactly, but it was something along those lines. So.
I don't get that.
Well, there we go. That was, people's reactions to Doug Ford and Kathleen Wynne. I want to just quickly point out, though, going back to that apathy versus not knowing, the girl at the end said that Doug Ford called Kathleen Wynne a nasty woman. Now, did that happen?
Can we fact check that?
Or was he referencing Donald Trump?
I don't know.
Because, which I guess relates to the question.
They're the exact same, right?
I think Donald Trump said that.
Yeah, that's what. Donald
to
Trump
someone,
did say
I don't
it.
know who, but it sounds like
Donald
something
Trump
he'd
did say it about Hillary Clinton. But I'm just wondering because this person said that Doug Ford said it about Kathy Wynne. But let's just take that apart. What people think. What do we think in the studio? I want to start with Jaquan.
About the comment?
About the comparison is, what can you say about the comparison between Doug Ford and Donald Trump? What do you say to that?
I just think it's ridiculous. I think the only thing they have in common maybe is that they just aren't very eloquent. I think that's probably about it. And I think because people see that, they just see them as both bambling idiots. Mm-hmm. I think for one, I don't think Trump's a conservative at all.
What do you
at
think
all.
he is?
I think. I don't think he really is political, in my opinion. I think he just cares about getting things done, and he cares about certain aspects of the country, cares about aspects of the country, and he wants to get them done. But I don't think he's some conservative warrior.
So you're saying if he was he'd basically switched everything and was ran under the Democrats, it'd basically be the same thing just under a different name?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if Trump had ran on a Democratic platform, for sure he would have gotten probably even more energy than he got on the Republican.
Yeah,
I think so, because he would have had the support of celebrities, and if you think about it, Trump had no support from celebrities. He had he didn't have Hollywood support.
Yeah.
He didn't have.
Pretty sure Kid Rock.
Hey, come on, Steven Seagal. And Steven Seagal is not the greatest actor of
he
our
had a couple
generation.
outlaws.
If our Lord and Savior of hip hop, Kanye West, supports him,
yeah, exactly.
Come
See,
on.
I just take my cues from Kanye, so
there you go.
I have to.
Today I thought about killing you. Premeditated murder.
Guys, it's a choice. Yeah. It's a choice. No, but I mean, even Silicon Valley, he didn't have the support of any of the
They've seen that Silicon Valley is very left, though. So
yeah, that's my point. He would have I think in that situation it was a perfect storm. But in terms of Doug, I think he's more of a conservative than Trump is or will ever be.
Yeah.
And I think he cares more about the people and less about just winning more. So I think I don't think there is even a comparison there really, besides the fact that they just can't really talk.
Fair. Yeah. Okay, Will, let's go to you. What do you say to that?
Well, I've actually had the opportunity to meet Doug Ford on a number of occasions. He's always given me vibes he's just some hockey dad, some normal guy. I think politically, though, I don't think he's anything like Donald Trump other than his appearance. He's just kind of a thicker guy he's got the hair. He's brash. He speaks his mind. I think people draw comparisons there, but I really think it's the optics that he presents himself in that make people think he's a lot like Donald Trump. But politically, I don't think he could be any more different. I actually think Doug Ford is one of the more libertarian people who ran to lead the PC party. He's someone who's been, accused of being against, women's rights and the LGBT community. And I just don't see that from the interactions that I've had with him. I actually, now take this for what it is. It's anecdotal, but I was actually at a pub night that he was hosting, and a pro-life person went up to Doug Ford.
Yeah.
And they said, look, we're trying to pick a leader for this party. We feel like our voices have been ignored for a long time in the party. Patrick Brown silenced pro-life candidates, wouldn't let them become candidates in the party. Where do you stand on the issue? Because at the time he hadn't said anything about it. And Doug Ford said, look, that issue is a federal issue, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not staunchly pro-life. He said that it's a complicated issue he wanted nothing to do with, and he said he said that he would allow candidates in his party to speak their mind and vote with their conscience. But he said, personally, I don't agree with your position, but I welcome you in my party and I welcome you to elect candidates into my party. So I don't know how people take that and call him a pro-life person for allowing people to freely express themselves in his party. I think people want to put two and two together and put this evil label on him like he's some crazy social conservative from the 1920s. I just don't think that's who he is. Like Doug Ford, all of his policies are about getting the government out of our lives, like lowering taxes, increasing incentives for business, getting rid of carbon taxes, getting rid of regulations on our liquor and beer so we can enjoy freedom and be treated like adults. I think he's actually more of a libertarian than a conservative, which Donald Trump is anything but a libertarian. He thinks that his almighty government can solve every problem.
That's fair. I just want to take a quick mention. I think King Vaughan was just called, I guess, by the candidate because he says he won. He posted about it, so I'd like to congratulate him because I worked on his campaign. Stephen Lecce, congratulations on winning King Vaughan. But just wanted to briefly mention that. But going back to Trump and Ford, let's hear what Christina has to say.
This is hard because I'm sitting in a room with like, two conservatives.
You're in a safe space. Don't
worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop that.
Honestly, remember, this show, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I know. I think, like, I do not like either of them. That's why I did not vote for Doug Ford, and I don't like Trump. I would... You know what I think it is? People make the comparison, and I agree with... what Will was saying. Like, I don't know if they actually do have any similarities. I think what the problem is that people see these two men that speak the same way and they look the same way and they're under the category of a conservative, so people just assume they're all the same. And I think it's more of the public just assuming that like Doug Ford is the Trump of Canada, just based off of not knowing much and more just appearance-wise and the way that they present themselves. Because I do think if you were to go and compare the two platforms and the things that they stand for, it's probably different. I don't know too much like about Doug Ford personally. I more look into the platform of the party rather than the one individual. So I can't say what it is about him personally, but I think I think they're being compared because people appearance-wise, presentation-wise, just kind of see similarities in them. So
I think also, like, people, ever since the election in the U.S., people have been looking to kind of, like, polarize people on on those two bases. Like, either, like, right after the election, it was, like, literally everybody was either a Hillary voter or a Trump voter. Like, it didn't even matter, like, whether you lived in Canada or not. Like, everyone would be like, who would you have voted for? And then, like, made their decision based on that. And I think, like, we're going to see that throughout politics. Like, you're going to see a lot more people called, like, the Trump of wherever or the Hillary or whatever. Like, as soon as you're, like, a liberal woman running against maybe a conservative man, then it's going to be brought up. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So then my last question, which on Doug Ford, and then we're going to move on to Kathleen Wynne. But the last question is similar to Donald Trump. Do you believe that people are scared to say they're voting for him?
Yeah. I do. I do because of all of the negative connotations that are associated with him. And not just the negative connotations that are associated with him, but the negative connotations that he has that other people hold in society. Like Will mentioned, like his pro-life stance, for me, the big thing is healthcare. I see a lot of Mike Harris and Doug Ford. And Mike Harris cut healthcare drastically in the province. And I think that people are afraid of that sort of part too. So I think that it's a lot of it's just the fear of feeling like you are negligent to your society if you choose to vote for Doug Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that. And on some level, I would agree with it, but that's just me.
I see the comparison with Trump and Doug Ford, I guess, somewhat related because they like both candidates. Basically, they've been catering to the masses by like certain stuff that like just appeals like to like exactly what they're thinking about. So like they very like simplified ideas, like short-term policies. Like an example, like as soon as like I've heard like from like working class people or like from the in the middle class, like I've mentioned before like the whole buck of beer thing that Doug Ford wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's like literally like after like I said that, like you don't even have to continue with the conversation. They're like, yeah, he's got my vote. And it's like, damn, it sucks that like you've like whittled down your vote to something so basic.
Yeah.
But
wow, you basic.
Yeah, these basic bitches be tripping.
Well, I mean, there are one issue voters, and you know,
yeah, some people are like that,
right? And that's with anybody, right? So you have people that are voting for the buck of beer thing, right? But you also have, you know, people voting for Doug Ford for. I can't think of any.
But the
of his
similar
promises,
policies, like lowering taxes and stuff like
Yeah,
that, like that's exactly
like-
what Trump wants to do.
Yeah.
And like in the same way that like Trump like puts the slogan as he wants to put America first and make America great again.
Yeah.
He's like Doug Ford's like MO is like always about respecting the taxpayers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that's catering to all of these voters because the biggest group of voters is the middle class who are going to be paying the biggest portion of all of these taxes.
Yeah.
So
and on that note, I think it's time that we move on to Kathleen Wynne. We also have.
Do we have to?
Huh?
Sorry.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Oh, well, we have another pre-recorded segment about Kathleen Wynne, but we also have another prize coming up. So make sure you're listening. Make sure you're commenting. Remember that grand prize, and we'll tell you it's worth $100. The grand prize. It's a big deal. It's a big one. So make sure to be commenting, because right now we got one big commenter, and he's already won a prize. So we'll see.
Where you guys at?
Yeah, honestly,
Come
you
on.
know.
Come on.
So we're gonna play that segment now. Let's turn off the mics.
Hi there. What do you think of Kathleen Wynne?
Not happy.
What do you think of Kathleen Wynne?
No, I just turned 18.
Hi there. What do you think about Kathleen Wynne?
I have no idea who that is. Sorry.
What do you think about Kathleen Wynne?
She's alright, I guess.
Hey guys, what do you think about Kathleen Wynne?
She's a bad thing, eh?
Hey guys, what do you think about Kathleen Wynne?
Wynn's been good in terms of some of the policies that she's had, but she's also shot herself in the foot in terms of how she's balanced things and created a lot of debt for us youngsters to really pay for in the future.
Do you have any thoughts on Doug Ford, Kathleen Wynne, or Andrea Horwath?
No thoughts whatsoever.
Okay, do you have any thoughts on the state of Ontario politics at all?
Hopefully Ford continues what his brother's legacy was in terms of bringing down debt and understanding what the people really want and taking care of that. I think that's really vital at this point in time for Toronto to go places where it should be.
Just
I think time's up for Wynne. Time for a change. NDP's a good change.
I honestly, I don't know enough about that.
We're currently working with some of the Wynne governments, so they've been beneficial for us, but at the same time I can understand why most people may have different opinions, so that's why it's also a challenge for me to make a decision at this point.
I don't know. She when she started, we had a lot of high hopes on her, and eventually it kind of died down. She didn't really do what we expected of her. I would say need a change. I'm not expecting too much high hopes from Ford either. But at least let's see.
I mean, I think that there like some kind of change is necessary. I think that a lot of people that I've talked to want some kind of change, and I think that Doug Ford, from what I've seen, could be able to provide that. So that's what I'm leaning towards right now, but definitely not certain just yet.
I'd say it's a 50-50. Her intentions have been good. Some of the policies and appointing some of the people may not have been the best. I think that's where one of the issues that's going to really hit her this time. I think that's basically where she stands. She's been good in terms of overall things that she's wanted to do. Her intent has overall been good.
And we are back. So we had a chance to hear about what people had to say about Kathleen Wynne, and I guess people. So, we got mixed reactions once again, right? But
I just want to say real quick, I'm looking at the Globe and Mail live coverage of the election, and if the Conservatives get 6 more seats, it's a majority.
Yeah!
Already that quick, eh?
Yeah. I could feel my beer getting cheaper by the second.
Oh my god.
This is,
let me just
5
take
more
this,
seats.
I'm
5
gonna
more
faint.
seats.
No, Kyrie.
Remember, the
I'm
show,
gonna faint.
The show stays politically neutral, but I am very happy right now.
Yes.
So,
Dollar
Christina's
beers.
not. Christina's
Neither am I.
I'm like on the verge of tears when I say I'm about to faint. I literally feel like
Neither am I.
We
pretty
have
fast.
more pizza and water if that's helpful. But
Sorry for your
we'll be
loss,
here
guys.
for you.
Yeah.
But
Appreciate it.
let's now talk about Kathleen Wynne.
What is there,
and
what
the
is
question,
there to say?
No. But I just want to let's get to know her. And there's actually an event going on Facebook. It's Kathleen Wynne's goodbye party. But
I'm attending.
That's the first question. What's her background? Let's talk about who she is, or her history in politics.
When John Tory ran for PC leader in 2007, Kathleen Wynne RKO'd her, came out of nowhere, and beat her in his seat. Ooh. So she beat him.
Oh, I didn't know
in
that.
his seat that when he was running for premier. He lost Dalton McGuinty. That was the second election that Dalton McGuinty had. Kathleen Wynne is a big advocate in the Don Valley community. She was at me and Christina's graduation, and every graduation after that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, she took pictures with all of us. She read out our names.
I didn't get a picture with Kathleen Wynne.
Connor Moa did.
Okay, she didn't take a photo with me. So
yeah, she's running every Terry Fox run in our local park. She's been in like every community cleanup. She's very sort of grassroots active in our community.
She started an amazing popcorn company called Orville Redenbacher.
She does look like the Orville Redenbacher, dude.
Indistinguishable. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Oh my god.
You said it all.
I'm gonna have to mute the mic every time I laugh.
that on the shirt.
Popcorn,
Can you make that for me?
politics. What more do you need? An all-around woman.
Which one's Kathleen? Which one's
This
Orville?
show is definitely poppin'.
Oh God!
Yes.
Oh
Yeah, you
God! Oh man! Cringe.
Anyway, Kadeen's gonna hate me for that. But okay, so we've gotten to know her her history as the founding.
3 more seats. PCs get a majority.
Okay, you're gonna be watching that, and you're gonna yell at the top of your lungs if that happens, when that happens.
Yeah.
And so then, how has she been as?
You're shaking.
I am shaking.
Oh my God, is she
It's
shaking?
ridiculous.
I'm not joking. My hands
bro,
are like.
Look, the whole
not-
905 is completely
I'm
like under
sweating.
blue right now. It's
Yes. Those are my ends, guys.
That's my
Durham?
peeps.
Yeah, that's what I'm
All
talking
of
about.
it. Lord, give me the
You guys
strength.
woke up. I'm happy.
let's see,
You woke up, you
Whitby,
woke up.
Ajax, Pickering, Markham.
Oxbridge.
But no, Oshawa being NDP really surprises me.
no!
That's like,
oh yeah, no, it's still NDP.
Yeah.
NDP lead.
what?
So I wanna ask: has a leader
Oh,
ever?
ooh, look, so Brampton Center, like the riding that's like just south of me, they're exact right now at 10,703.
They're tied.
They're tied, yeah.
Libs and
No, PC and NDP.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to. Yeah, wow, jeez. That's Jagmeet Singh's old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Let's get back
exactly.
to Kathleen Wynne. Has a leader ever conceded before the end of a race?
I'm sure.
Similar,
it?
like
in
Dalton,
Ontario.
Dalton McGuinty did something similar, but didn't concede. Like
He
in the last,
resigned. He resigned.
No. But I'm saying like in this, like he got elected the second time, right? He was like his like whole advertising campaign was about how like he wasn't getting that popular in the voting, like in the polls and stuff. He was still able to win, so it's like this is the very first like step, like first time that someone's ever done that. That's pretty scary. I don't really agree with it, obviously, but
and on that point, has it helped or hindered the campaign?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know.
It does. I don't think it really makes. She thought it would make a big difference, but
it hasn't. It
I
really
feel like the
hasn't.
voters already decided that they didn't want to have many people representing the liberal, the liberals representing many people for this. So
I guess she felt that.
Strategy.
Yeah, I guess she felt that
the sorry not sorry thing definitely didn't work.
Sorry, more people don't like me. I'm like,
That was.
I go on runs at 5 a.m. every morning.
That was so ridiculous.
Run away from Ontario,
sorry
please.
for whatever.
That type of roboticism was just like with Stephen Harper trying to connect with Canadian Canadian voters by saying,
I love Netflix.
Well, no,
I love
I
live
watched
streaming.
not only that,
Game of Thrones.
That's sorry, not sorry comment. Just like what's the implication there? That I'm sorry, more people don't like me. Like she's trying to say like her policies were actually good, but people don't like her for some other reason. Like
it just seems so pretentious to me.
People don't like you because of what you've done.
I felt like personally,
it's like she knows better.
She was like she was being condescending. Like I'm sorry you don't like me, but look what I did. But no, you destroyed the gas plant and everything. But anyway.
The vindication.
Enough of my salt. Let's talk
Wait,
about.
You talking about Saga and Oakville? Is that what you meant?
No, I'm talking about the whole gas plant situation.
Okay.
The hydro bills and everything. Anyway, but
you should have just said hydro. I would have
but what happens? Because Adam, you've mentioned that the Liberals do they have any seats at all right now?
They have. Let me scroll up here.
Three
seats.
They need what? 5 more for party status?
Yeah, they need 8 to have official. They're leading in 5 others, but they need to win all of them to get official party status.
So that's what I want to ask. That's what I want to ask. What happens if the Liberals lose? That's fine. What happens if the Liberals lose official party status? How many seats do they need to have party status?
8.
8?
8. Yeah.
Okay, and they have.
They have 3 right now, and they're leading in 5.
Great. Okay, so what happens?
I don't think in the history of Ontario have we seen a collapse of a party this big.
Yeah.
And unless they elect like Pierre Trudeau's grandson to be the leader of the Ontario Liberal Party,
those are done.
I don't see the Liberals coming back next election, and I think it'll take like 2 more elections.
Do you think it's reminiscent of the 1990s when the NDP got in power? Because I was looking at the statistics, and it showed that
not at all.
Really, because
not at all.
I'm just looking in terms of numbers. Because the year before 1990, the previous election, Liberals were in power, and then they sunk drastically, and the NDP got in power.
Yeah, but the thing is, the night before the election that Bob Rae won, or no. Okay, I'm gonna give 2 scenarios because I don't know if I'm right or wrong. But either the election that Bob Rae won or the election that Mike Harris won, the night before the election, the Liberals were in the lead.
Mm-hmm. So something just like
and then overnight, I'm gonna say Bob Rae. Somebody in the comments can fact check me, or no one can fact check me. Up to you guys. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna say that the night before the election, they were in the lead. And nobody predicted that Bob Rae would have won the election because Bob Rae won the election without the 905. That was one of the few elections in history that a leader won the election without winning the 905. Mm-hmm. So I think that nobody expected it to happen, and there was a collapse of the Liberal support in the 905.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah, so I don't know. 1 more seat and the PCs get a majority. So
really?
Yep.
Okay, well... in that case, we know that Adam is in charge of that. So once that happens, we will know. But before we get to it, let's talk about Andrea Horwath. Now, we didn't have much of a segment on her just because, first of all, we didn't have much time. But on top of that, considering people confuse Doug Ford with Rob Ford, a lot of people didn't even know who Andrea Horwath is. But between the time that was recorded and now, a lot happened. She's become so popular. So let's talk about her background. Maybe Christina wants to start us off.
She was a principal or something.
I am still and then she going through some shit right now. But okay, so you're asking me about Andrea, how I feel about her?
Like, what's her background? What's her background? Like, her history in politics.
I actually don't know much about her. I'll admit, I didn't know about her until this election. Oh, Adam knows everything. So take it over to Adam.
I don't know everything.
I do.
Adam knows everything. So take it over to him.
I know the answer. Pick me.
Well, anybody but... no, I'm kidding.
Andrea Horwath is the daughter of Czechoslovakian immigrants. Her parents... worked in the steel mills, from what I remember, and she's just she's very sort of grassroots. I don't know if it was Jaquan or Will that said she was a principal. I think I read about that as well.
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere as well.
This is her 3rd time running for premier, so that's something.
Yeah, they were almost going to boot her too for that 2nd time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't think there was anybody else in the party that could have done it. They thought Jagmeet Singh was going to do it, but then he jumped to federal.
That's the most shocking thing. Like that would have been good for him
because he was deputy. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Exactly.
So normally the deputy takes over when the leader doesn't do well.
Yeah.
I think.
What is it?
I think
Are we cracking some?
just got majority.
Are we cracking a few?
Are we cracking those dollar beers right now?
It looks like it. It looks like it. Looks like the PC got majority, and
Dougie
Scarborough
came through.
Guildwood is now at a dead tie.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna go to Christina for reaction.
Dougie.
There.
That was the most perfect pen ever. Like, oh my god, we're gonna go Christina for reaction. Oh my god.
Well, I am going to have very little left to say for the rest of this.
All night.
I don't know why you hate having a job so much, honestly.
First of all,
I don't get it. I really don't.
No, there's
What
a lot
do
of
you have
reasons.
against employment?
Well, let's talk about that. No, go ahead.
Right.
I don't need to be attacked right now. First of all,
It's nothing personal.
Did not come here to get attacked. I just do. The thing is, I don't support the platform as a whole. It's not even necessarily about like the thing is, I would be voting Liberal if Liberal didn't go to shit this election, and like, because I will say, I have kind of centered a bit in my views to some extent. I know there's some controversy that I'm a radical leftist. Not true. But if the circumstances were better, I'd probably go Liberal, but I just think this election just blew up. There was no chance for the Liberals. Kathleen Wynne screwed the whole party over.
She became Kathleen Lose.
Yeah, and so and I will say that if the if PC has majority, we have a voting system. That's how it works. We're gonna have to deal with it. It upsets me, but I can't individually do anything to change that. It's just.
But you voted and you tried. That's what's important.
Exactly, and everybody else voted. And if that's the consensus, then you know what? I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So. I'll be a little bit emotional for a couple months, and then I'll get over it. So
we'll be here for you. You're welcome back
Thank
on the show
you.
anytime.
Thank you.
So let's move on to
Adam,
Adam,
why are you saying wow?
Excuse me.
Wow.
I had
What are you
hope.
seeing? What are you seeing
know
right
I'm looking at a lot of these writings, and I really had faith in some of the 905. I completely didn't mention that I was working on the Willowdale NDP campaign, Samantha Basinajad, first female Iranian MP that we hope to get elected. So I got a lot of that data, not my home writing, but friend of a friend. Shout out to Zareen for the connection. And so, you know, the NDP this election, on one hand had to mobilize as the opposition. That was unusual for the NDP. Hasn't really happened in the last 25 years. So they had to mobilize as the opposition, and then also they had to sort of rebrand themselves to get rid of all the stereotypes. You know, the commie stereotypes, the sort of...
Yeah, it's so much more than that.
Yeah, you know, what about Bob Ray? What about Bob Ray? What about Bob Ray? A lot of that, and then sort of rebrand themselves as a new party with progressive candidates and all that. And I really had more hope. I'm not gonna...
too.
Like, I called Donald Trump winning the election like 3 weeks before it happened. I called a lot of other sort of right candidates throughout the world, like Italy's election, Israel's election, Macri's election in Argentina, even, you know, different elections all over the world. You can sort of see it coming. But with this election, I really thought that Ontario was sort of riding the orange wave, for the lack of a better word. And looking at this map, it just looks like a total collapse, because it's not even like some of these are close. Like, I'm going to click on a random one.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
I'm going to click on a random one, like Markham Unionville. Markham Unionville has always flipped between Liberal and Conservative, from what I know.
It's true.
It's like 14,728 Conservative. Jeez. And then even if all the Liberal voters moved to NDP, they would still be 7,000 and change short. So, like, for me, I feel like, not necessarily like I was lied to, because I was reading the polls every day.
But you were lied to.
But I was lied to. I lied to myself. I played myself. Congratulations. And I wrote a whole thing on Facebook. You can go check it out.
Yep.
Maybe I'll share it to the thing. But I almost died. I'm not like spoiler alert. YouTube sort of clickbait. I almost die. I was a very premature baby. And with Mike Harris's health cuts under the Common Sense Revolution, many of the hospitals had to cut staff that managed the intensive care units for high-risk births. And I almost died in labor because they could not find a hospital for me to be born in because of Mike Harris's cuts. And this is very scary for me personally. And I know, anecdotes aren't the end-all, be-all, but I think that depending on how, because every government that comes into power has to centralize a little bit to sort of appeal to the other people and try. Oh, they called Kathleen Wynne won her riding.
Okay,
they called it.
I mean, congratulations to her
Good
for keeping her seat.
Yeah, they called it. And so I worry. And I'm not trying to sound like those people that think the world is going to end, because I don't think it's going to end. I also have a little bit of faith in the social fabric of the province, and I think that Doug Ford is going to have to actually figure out how to pay for things when he's elected. So I'm hoping for less cuts than I'm imagining under his tenure, but we'll see. It's really just a we'll see at this point.
That's fair.
Another big campaign that I was involved in was Etobicoke Centre, not because I was involved in the actual campaign, but because Daniel Liss was a big supporter of the Liberal MP, Yvonne Baker. And Yvonne Baker is one of the more vocal Liberal MPs, and he lost by a lot more than I thought he was going to lose by. Like in 2011, he lost by 26 votes, and now he's losing by 3,000, and only half of the polls have been called.
Yikes.
So I'm a little bit overwhelmed in terms of how bad the NDP lost. That's in summation of my little rant.
So let's talk about then candidates on both the PC and the NDP. So there were some bad apples on both ends.
Oh yes, there were.
In terms of some of the NDP candidates, I know that there was one who does not support wearing the poppy.
Yeah,
which I think
called it brainwashing.
Which was a huge, I guess, turnoff for a lot of people. And then there was another one who wanted to impose a $150 carbon tax, which would increase gas prices about 35 cents a liter. On the
Paul Miller.
Yeah, on the Doug Ford side, on the PC side, there was a candidate who had to resign because of some leaked 407 documents. I don't know the specifics of it, but I know it was some
they briefly
shady,
started talking about that a few days ago.
Yeah, shady business.
Yeah.
I know he let go of Tanya Granick Allen
Yeah.
early on into the race because of something. I don't remember what she said, but she said something.
Probably something she's been saying for a long
Yeah,
time.
it's something homophobic.
And then obviously you have to look at the biggest issue, which was Patrick Brown, even before Doug Ford. That was an issue for the PCs, right?
Also, Alan's biggest issue.
I actually met him. TBH, he's a little creepy, but
he looks creepy.
He'll stare at you, and he'll just stare. And that's it. Like it's just it's too much.
His face looks like a clown without makeup on. It's like how I would describe it.
I guess that's.
Hey
probably
guys,
his
let's not
personal-
objectify men right now.
Sorry.
Let's just.
But yeah, so we've got some bad candidates on both ends, but it seems that NDP's candidates were just worse based on the fact that the PCs have just won a majority.
Well, that's in your opinion.
No, but based on public opinion.
Many opinions.
Based on
Adam.
public
Many
opinion,
opinions.
I'm saying that it seems that the NDP candidates were worse because the PCs won.
Oh, it looks like our feed is very glitchy on the live feed.
Is it?
Oh no.
Looks like one of those memes.
How is it doing on? Oh, we're doing well on
Oh,
the
it's
computer.
not looking good for me.
It's still.
No, this is normal, at least on our on Daniel's
if
computer.
you want to flash to my screen just to see what I'm looking at.
Are we going to talk about the carbon tax at some point?
Oh, that is a bad.
That is my question.
Well, we just briefly talked about it with the candidate wanted to propose.
We're good.
We're good?
But
so it's just the computer. Okay. But I want to move on just to our second prize before we move forward. Our second prize of the night is a gift card to Toronto's Eaton Centre. Why did I say Toronto? Because I'm from Toronto. Toronto's Eaton Centre valued...
Not, you're from Vaughan.
Toronto's Eaton Centre valued at $30 provided by Seal City. And speaking of Seal City, happy birthday to Brian Abramov, who is one of the owners there and my boss. I wish the best for you, and I guess, glad that I'm working there and happy to be there. But who is Seal City? Seal City specializes in driveway sealing and driveway repairs and is by far the best property care company in the GTA. As someone in media, I never expected to do door-to-door sales for a business, but Daniel and Brian, the two owners, are truly great owners and professionals. They don't own me. This isn't slavery. That's not what I meant. But they're great bosses. I can attest firsthand to the hard work they put into each home. You can check them out at sealcity.ca to book a free quote. And save when you use the promo code The Raben Report. You'll save $20 on your next driveway seal. So the question is, make sure to be listening, guys. The question is, what was the first poll that we confirmed, or the first riding we confirmed on the show? Hint, Marshall called it, and we confirmed it right away. So if you comment on the feed what poll it was, what riding it was, you'll win that $30 gift card to... the Toronto Eaton Centre provided by Seal City. And we'll have Daniel and Adam watch the comments of Facebook Live to see who wins that gift card. But let's move forward now to the last segment, which is the issues. The biggest issues of Ontario, the issues for which people were voting. We asked a lot of people what their biggest issues were. And what's surprising, though, is that their answers differed in terms of what their biggest issue was personally and what they think the biggest issue is for the province.
One of these is wild.
Yeah. You're not gonna want to miss this. So let's get the mics off, Daniel, and let's.
The biggest issue is there's no one I want to vote for.
Okay, that's fair.
So that makes it really tough. Apart from that, the biggest issue is our economy is not doing that well, and young people like you can't get jobs.
That's true.
It's just too damn hard to get a job where you can make a proper living.
Education, taxes, that kind of thing, yeah. Healthcare as well.
The biggest issue is the debt of the province, the deficit. The Liberals have run it up to such a point that it threatens everything, our healthcare, our education. Literally, we could go bankrupt. So I'm really worried about that.
Responsiveness of government. I think that's important, that we get a government that actually listens to us, pays attention, and responds at the local level, as well, of course, to big ticket issues.
There's an overall biggest problem for Ontario in this upcoming election?
Yes, it's our debt. Our debt is so huge that we can't afford to provide the proper services anymore. Like if you go to our schools, our primary schools and so on, they're all in a mess. Why? Because we don't have enough money to fix our schools, keep them clean, and build new schools where we need them. So it's because our debt is so high we can't provide the services that we need to the people of Ontario.
No, I would say affordability for housing and availability too in a lot of communities. I see a lot of people even having to leave larger urban centers to move out just based upon the price point of things. They've accelerated out of sight, and so.
Well, it's very difficult to put all of our issues down to a single question. We have things like housing, education, infrastructure. We have a lack of funding for local policing. There are a number of local issues here: homelessness, poverty. I mean, there's a lot on the table right now. But I think all of those are well encompassed by the notion of being responsive to local and constituency needs.
I guess potentially just like the divide that this election has been brought. I think like a lot of people don't really know who to vote for because they don't seem to like any candidate that much. So maybe that's a bigger issue.
The bigger issue could be men's rights. Sort of right now, women are they live longer. They're more graduating from school. They have a social advantage. So I think the issue of men's rights is sort of kind of brewing underneath. and the constant attack of guys, and I think we're getting fed up. You saw the guy on Yonge Street who ran over the 10. Now, I don't want to attribute that to sort of the men's rights issue, but I think could be something there. We could have more problems like that if this sort of attack on men continues. So that's another reason to get rid of the Liberals at NDP.
And here we are, Michael. Yeah.
Wow. Boom, boom, boom. Back
So
from that
I just,
disaster.
I went to Christina's reaction because you had a huge reaction to that last one, and I put that in just because I think it was the craziest answer we've received.
That I agree with. And the thing is, that was okay. I'm sorry, but I just there's so much happening in my head right now. But okay. You know what? You take it right now while I collect my thoughts.
Well,
get back to
Don
me.
Valley East just got called for the Liberal.
Oh.
Don Valley East, our riding?
Yeah. Just got called for the Liberal.
Okay.
Yes.
That's so sassy.
Can we recall what he said? He was talking about the
men's rights issues,
and he attributed to the
van attack.
The van attack,
which we mentioned at the top of our show. So.
I don't think that.
Yeah, it's a very slippery slope he's making there.
I don't think that's a matter of men's rights, I would say.
He's trying to make the comparison that like incels would be
because
they're being like alienated and marginalized, I guess, like.
But
are they saying it's like a byproduct of feminism? Is that the argument that he's making?
I would assume so.
Well, I think
we were talking with him before. That's why.
Yeah.
And he shared pretty much those ideas criticizing feminism.
I think I will say on that stance, I do think modern day feminism has taken a different turn and is not focusing on what it needs to be focused on or what it was once focused on, because I think there were goals that we met way back in the day, and there were things that actually needed to happen, like women's suffrage. We got our right to vote. But just besides the point, I think modern day feminism to some degree is making men all like terrible people. It's marginalizing men into this evil category, and it's not to say that there isn't disparities between men and women. There will be things that men can't do that women can do, vice versa. But I think attributing it to men's right issues is not the way to approach it. Because it's problematic. I'm very shocked by that. And especially connecting it to the van attack. I think that was a little bit of a low blow.
It's a bit of a stretch, yeah.
So
I don't see his connection as to how the two are connected, but I don't think what his point is false though. Like speaking about the NDP and the Liberal Party, he was saying that they care less about men. But it's funny. I don't know if any of you guys have actually gotten the chance to look over the education curriculum and stuff like that. If you look at it, you can kind of see like there's things that like language that like alludes that like men can't control their impulses, that that men are very like primal and aren't able to control themselves if they see an attractive woman, like, and that whole like, and I by no means I'm trying to like diminish like rape culture or anything like that, but like I think that also contributes to it too. Like I hear that all the time, especially my campus is like hyper political, especially with that kind of thing, and literally guys will make like comments not even directed at the female, like I couldn't even comment on like your dress or anything about you because that might be perceived as, wow, like he's seeing what I'm wearing and he can't control his impulses and he wants to just like attack me, which is like completely false. Yeah, and I think more and more people are adhering to that because it's just what's in the air and that they're just listening to it, and I think it comes from the top down for sure. Starting with Kathleen, starting with Trudeau all the way down.
I was the one that interviewed that guy, I think, right?
Yeah, you were.
He talked to me beforehand. He's like, "Listen, I've got some pretty radical views. I don't know if you want me to say them." And I didn't know it was coming, so I said, well, to hell with it, whatever. And like, he like we debriefed a little bit after, and like I felt like the vibe that I got from him was he was very much like a poster child for like a lot of the male fragility that is talked about. That I wouldn't say he's an incel, but I feel as if though he blames a lot of his problems that he experiences as a man, as a straight man, trying to,
like he would attribute it to be like, oh, it's like the way my mom raised me, or maybe that one bad experience I had with that girlfriend from long ago.
Yeah, and I really got that vibe from the guy that he sort of blames feminism for not being able to have a girlfriend, or not being able to get laid. Like, do you know what I mean?
I feel like he thinks like he has like a very prehistoric thinking of the way how the world works, like in terms of the relationship between men and women. Like, like to thinking that like men and women can't coexist in the workplace. I'm pretty sure if we were to ask him about that, he would have a very strong opinion saying that that's not possible.
So that's the vibe that I got from him. So I got more of the fragile male vibe. Yeah, like the sort of, like
not a soy boy, but like.
Yeah,
not necessarily a soy boy.
I'm not gonna be petty right now. Yeah, not the time for that. So that's the vibe that I got from him, just to throw that out there. A little bit of a check-in on the polls coming in. Oshawa is NDP, like called NDP. 52 out of 52 polls reporting. It's like Jennifer French has won that. Eglinton Lawrence went Liberal.
Jeez.
Not ahistorically accurate, but surprising that 3 ridings in Toronto went Liberal.
Jeez.
So pretty like Don Valley West and East both Liberal. Confirmed Liberal, so I don't know what Marshall was talking about. Sorry, bud. Brampton Centre is now back flipped to NDP, and Scarborough Guildwood has now flipped back to Liberal. So the Liberals are projected to win 8 seats, like this, so they'll officially maintain official party status. But yeah, they've now called 68 seats for the Conservatives. Wow. It's looking like
we're looking at live images off your laptop, Marshall. Not Marshall. Ones. That's how
Thunder Bay still Liberal after all this time. Wow, it's always a big
Thunder
chunk.
from not down under.
Jeez.
Oh, it's kind of close. Okay, there's still like 30 more polls to be reported.
So there have been many differences between personal issues and what the biggest issues are. Sorry, back to polls. Remember our question, which is what was the first poll that we called on the show? If you can answer that correctly, we'll let you know. It is in the general York region community. That's a hint. And it went blue, if that's another hint. So the first poll that we called, you'll win the $30 Toronto Eaton Centre gift card valued at $30 from Seal City. But back to the issues, people seem to have different opinions on what their biggest issues are and what the province's biggest issues are. Why do you think that is? Do you believe that? At least I believe that.
Oh, they called Thunder Bay for the Liberals.
Okay. At least I believe that the biggest issues would maybe be the biggest issues for the province. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think that I've watched a lot of different interviews about how, and I hate doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm a hypocrite. Trump's election sort of awoke like the trolls of the world. And how a lot of these people that sort of have neck beards and live in their mom's basement sort of had their opinion validated. I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying that that's the brand of human that had their opinions validated.
But those trolls? Are those trolls, though?
To me, though, those are what I consider trolls. That's like my definition of a troll.
I mean, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that with that, I think a lot of like what has sort of leaked into Canada is that anyone's opinion, no matter how radical it is, left and right, not just right, but left and right, traditional or not, has sort of been validated. And now no one knows what a big issue is because everybody has their own big issue. And for a long time, it would take a back seat. But now it hasn't. I mean, now it's at the front seat of a lot of people's minds. So that's what I think.
What was the question again?
The question is, why is there a difference between what people's personal biggest issue is with the province and what they think the biggest issue is for the province? If you know what I mean.
No, I was gonna piggyback off something else, but so what? Why the biggest issue?
Like why do they say different things for what their biggest issues with the province and what they think the province's biggest issue is?
I think because like everyone's like trying to have like their own personal interest in specifically, but I don't know. Like I feel like the most important thing like for like, a candidate is to actually look at the local issues, because like the most people I talk to about like their biggest concern is just like hydro and how they're gonna pay for hydro, and it's like it's difficult because like, I've also watched this video about the CBC, and it was showing how in this election there's more millennials posed to vote than baby boomers in this election. So it's like we're gonna see like the effects of that, and it's like I think like the person who's representing the Conservatives, who by the way actually is Daniel Cook from that old TV show.
What?
He was talking about he's like an executive member for Campus Conservatives for University of Toronto.
Oh my god, I remember that show.
Yeah, exactly. So he's talking like there, and he's talking about how like voters now they're poised to become actually the next generation of so Gen Z they're poised to become the most right wing set of individuals.
Yeah.
And I've like what I was trying to relate it back to what Adam was saying like with key voters and stuff. They're just relating it to they were just gonna.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm just like losing my mind right now. It's,
Yeah.
It's like
It's been
I
a
can't
long
focus.
night.
I've been sweating all day.
Can I extend on that point a little
Yeah,
bit?
for sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I think politics are downstream from culture. So I think whoever's winning
Actually,
the
I just remember what I was gonna say.
Yeah, go for it.
It was gonna be that the rise of Trump coming into office. It's actually given a lot of people who are more quiet about having conservative values. It's allowed them to open up and to be honest about that. And so now we see this massive blue wave right now in Ontario. So we're just seeing the repercussions of all of that. So
yeah. So back to you, Will.
Yeah, as I was saying, like politics are definitely downstream from culture, right? Like whoever's winning the culture war is really getting that ideology elected in the form of a party. And I don't think necessarily that the right is winning the culture war. I just think the left is losing so badly. I mean, we saw kind of political correctness, which I think is a great thing. It came from a good place. Don't be a racist, don't be misogynist, don't be a homophobe. These are all great things. I totally agree with that sentiment. But they've gone so far to the point where, this cultural appropriation argument's happening now. Like, can a white girl have dreadlocks? Like, honestly, who cares if she has dreadlocks? If she thinks that if she feels beautiful in those dreadlocks, let her have dreadlocks, right? And people associate these radical, almost like too far from politically correct ideas with the left. And bring it back to what Jaquan was saying earlier, kind of about, and what the guy in the video was saying too, about people being fed up and all this stuff about men's rights. I'm by no means an MRA, a men's rights activist. But when you look at what the Ontario government's been doing in the last decade, I mean, I've gone to movies and I see government-sponsored ads from the government of Ontario playing before the movie. And it's anti-rape ads, which I think are great because rape is a real problem in this province, especially at universities and on campuses. There's definitely a rape culture. But at the end of the ad, the slogan is, if you don't help her, you're helping him.
Oh, I've seen
implying that only men can rape and only women can be victims of rape, which is totally hypocritical and against the entire feminist movement to begin with. And that's an example of the left losing the culture war. When you talk about this Gen Z and this next generation coming up to be the most conservative generation, it's because they're growing up and seeing propaganda like this. Like, this is government-funded, left-wing social justice propaganda. Conservatism is the new punk rock. It's the new anti-establishment. If the establishment is shoving that down our throats, the kids are going to say, F that. We want to go the other way. The other day I was carrying a Doug Ford sign down Yonge Street going to my apartment. And I walked in front of a kind of a rundown place, a shelter for homeless youth, a great institution that I think does a lot of good in the community. And one of the members of the community staying there shouted at me, F the Conservatives. And I said, why? And she said, well, Doug Ford wants to kill black people. And, I don't know where she got this idea from, but, people that are that radical and think that way are associated with the left. And that's really why I won't vote for the left, is because people like that associate themselves with it. That I can't justify voting for the NDP if I know that they, not only do they have voters like that, but they actually have, candidates who have the same ideas. These people posting Hitler memes and anti-Canada, anti-Christmas. It's just radical at this point.
So we are running out short on time, so I want to just move on to the biggest issues that I want to discuss on the show. So the first one, and we're going to spend between 5 and 7 minutes on each, so it's not much time. It's going to be rapid fire. But the first issue is education. And, what do we think about the state of education under the Liberals? Let's talk about the sex ed curriculum. A lot of people were opposed to that. A lot of people were for that. Let's talk about, schools closing, opening schools. How is education the biggest as an issue?
Can I go first? Does anybody else want to go first?
I can go second.
Okay.
Third.
He'll probably say a lot of what I'm going to say. So.
Do you want to go first?
No.
Cret?
No, you go first.
Okay.
This is the most Canadian.
He also just called me Cret on live air. Oh
What?
my! He just never mind. He just never mind.
It's a nickname.
Okay.
Okay. So, bigger than the sex ed curriculum, I'm for the sex ed curriculum. I think it's great. I think in the same conversation that we should have in educating young people to vote early, we should educate the idea of consent and other aspects of sex education earlier than we are doing now. But the Liberals really ruined public education in this province. The Liberals sold off assets. They're selling fields. They're closing schools. They're closing pools. They're laying off staff. They're using principals to wear all these different multiple hats so that they don't need to hire more teachers. There's a salary freeze. There's a freeze on hiring. There's a freeze on moving schools. We've now not allowed children to skip grades because they don't want to go through the processing. The Liberals really, really, effed up a lot of...
Wait, they've not allowed students to skip?
Yeah, because they don't want to go through all the different, paperwork and hurdles that...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Also, the disarray of books and... how textbooks are crumbling and falling apart.
The quality of textbooks, yeah.
Air conditioning, heating, I can go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 15 years the Liberals have been in power, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse.
It's one thing that I've always criticized, I feel like should be important if we're going to actually focus on education, because they are the future, obviously. We're never going to not have children using these public institutions.
Yeah.
It's why don't they actually renovate the schools? They've never truly renovated them. They'll have portables maybe to extend just capacity of the students.
Portables are hot in the summer,
but they've never truly renovated schools. And you see some schools that have opened up in the 60s maybe.
Yeah.
And it's you look at the bathrooms, they look archaic as fuck. It's ridiculous.
No, and the water pressure insane. Anyway, and I get it. There's a whole underlying issue that future generations are just not having children.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big problem. The birth rate is collapsing in the country.
Well, because people are being smarter and they want to save their money. They don't want to have a kid when they're 20, 23
I don't know if
years.
that's necessarily smarter, but it's just...
I'd like to think so.
It's money-wise. It's definitely money-wise.
That's another thing I was going to talk about with education. Then we should be having those mandatory finance courses to teach kids how to properly manage their money at a younger age.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a whole big thing that I don't think the Conservatives are going to do any better.
Right.
But I don't think...
It's not their focus.
Yeah, and I think that their focus is not on investment in anything. I think it's just cutting taxes and... What was the phrase that, Will, you used earlier when we were outside? Sous vide? Cutting spending in Parliament?
Oh, Six Sigma.
Sous vide, nice one. Six
Very
Sigma.
close. By the way, just shout out to my dad. He's watching. He said, "Give that guy in the red shirt some munchies. He's biting his nails."
Trying to grow him out, that's why.
So that's my opinion on education. It's bad. Conservatives are not going to make it any better. Thank you all. Like and subscribe for more.
So then... sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I would agree that education is not on the top of the conservative agenda right now. But I think it should be. I really think it. I think education needs a huge reform right now, and I think we underestimate how important education is.
Definitely.
If we I'm against the sex ed education.
Leave the studio immediately.
I would say I'm very against it. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm one of those people who thinks necessarily that these are conversations that only need to be held at home. I think you can talk about it at school, but I think the way you talk about it is very important. And I don't think the argument, well, they're talking about it anyway, that who cares? That's like saying we legalize weed because people... Well, okay. Anyway.
I do have...
But No, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you were.
I'm listening.
You were talking.
I lost my train. Just keep going.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Don't worry.
Sorry, I just wanted to get like my one like thing in. Education for me at least is like one of the top things on my agenda, and that's probably why that's why I am left, because and I've seen it firsthand. My mom is a teacher. Shout out to Miss Fitzpatrick. She is the greatest woman in the world. But I've seen her going through all sorts of things. Like I don't think she's ever striked, at least to my knowledge. She does work for the Durham board, but I've seen the things that she's had to go through in terms of things being cut. I remember there used to be a system where you could pool sick days, and then they all got cut. And she's been working for a really, really long time, and just a bunch of stuff that she worked hard for, that she does work hard for, it all got cut. And I saw that firsthand in the way that that affected her. And I know that the education system can be a bit of a mess. So that's like my opinion on that. And also I do agree with the sex ed curriculum. That's where we differ, but
I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, but if you actually go through and read it, I can't even see most people talking to their actual kids about this at that age. And
is there anything that's specifically that's got you or irks you what they're talking about
nothing. I think overall, I think it's just far too, I would say, invasive. I think there's certain things that don't need to be spoken about in the classroom. I think it's far too invasive.
But then who's going to talk about it then? Because God knows that the parents aren't not all parents are going to talk about this kind of situations with their kids. Especially if they're coming from an immigrant family, they're just going to sweep all that stuff under the rug. God forbid they're going to talk about even just heterosexual relationships, let alone homosexual or anything else that's in the book, in the sex ed curriculum, right?
We'll pull it all into secondary school.
Yeah.
And then we'll focus elementary school on building healthy relationships.
Yeah, okay. For sure.
That works.
So then let's discuss in terms of education, York University. Now the NDP said that they wouldn't be supporting back to work legislation. Which means unions could strike forever.
It's been 3 months?
It's been, I think it's been something
3
like
months,
that. I want to specifically hear Christina's opinion on this, about, because you said that you lean left, but then, you look at the NDP and they don't support that. The Liberals do, but what's your take on it?
So actually that's one thing that really conflicts me, because this York University issue is it's a terrible situation. It's totally screwed over these students, the plans that they have. There's a system that they're supposed to follow, and they've totally ruined that. And that's one thing that's pretty disappointing about the NDP, because I think that's something that should be really important. If you are paying for your education, this is your own hard-earned money being spent towards getting even more education. That shouldn't even be a question about whether or not they get that education or not. That's one thing I strongly disagree with the NDP, because I would hope that it would have been part of their plan to have things like that diminished. And I don't know, I think it's an awful experience. Adam and I mean probably all of us know tons of people that go to York, and it's just
they're stuck in limbo right now.
Yeah, and it's totally screwed. It affects the way their future is going to pan out now, and that's not their fault. That's their that's the money that they spent towards that. Why should anyone else have control over that? So that is probably, I have to say that's something I really disagree with, and I'm glad that was something that the Liberals were
considering this election, though. Since we have a lot of PC support from Ontarians, I would see that some people would try to find a way to create a solution for this problem by privatizing that union. I believe. No, is it a union? Right?
No, it was more. It is a union.
Yeah,
but
right.
It was more so the trick was just to push back to work legislation.
Yeah. But what I'm saying though is
in the long run,
if they were to privatize something like that, because we've seen the government privatizing the garbage industry, the garbage recycling stuff. So it's Like, I don't know if people are going to think, like, to avoid those kind of problems where, like, a university's closed for months. As, like, privatization of its employees is a meaningful solution.
This really shines a light, though, on the real NDP. And, they like to paint this picture that they're for the little guy and they're for, the little independent voter who isn't represented by the two major parties. But what they're showing is they're not for the little guy at all. They're actually for the big union. The NDP always has been the union party. And look, there's nothing wrong with unions. I think workers should have the right to collectively bargain for fair wages and good standards to work at where they're not working in a dangerous environment. Where you really get an issue is where the union becomes a public sector union for an essential service. I would include education in that. It's definitely an essential service, especially when you have students paying like God knows how much at York University to take these classes and they can't even attend them. Because the teachers want another car or an addition on their house.
Yeah.
But the NDP is really setting a precedent without back to work legislation. Like teachers are one thing, and yes, they're a very important part of our society. But what happens when another public sector union goes on strike? Let's say the nurses go on strike, and the NDP doesn't push for back to work legislation. How many people are going to die because the NDP needs to be, politically just in their morals and take their ideals to the extreme? The NDP truly is an extremist party. And they're trying to pretend that they're not, and they're for the little guy. But
that's another hot take of tonight.
That's exactly what they are.
Okay.
Sorry, I just need to interject really quickly. I think no, not at Will's comment. I think the Libs just lost official party status.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's 6.
All right.
Yeah. And
Jaquan
I'm
just
wow.
Jaquan's rattled.
Yeah, and Doug Ford won by almost 9,000 votes in his riding.
Wow. Well, I mean, congrats to Victoria. She's his daily
But
planner.
why?
So, I mean,
Why?
Why what?
Why? I know we kind of like talked about it a little bit earlier.
Kathleen's
but,
barely
why?
scooting through right now.
Why are so people,
Are you serious? Look at
why
this.
are people so willing to vote NDP or Conservative over the Liberal Party?
I think
because the Liberals, I think it's because the Liberals, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just because I think the Liberals have been in power for 15 years, and I think whether you go Liberal, whether you go NDP or Conservative, it is a change. And that's, I think, what people want. Regardless if that change is good or extreme on both ends, it's just a matter of...
I think we're seeing something similar as, like, to what happened in the States with... when was that? 2015. I think what we're seeing is, and it kind of sucks that people more so aren't even voting for what they really want to vote for, what they're passionate about, and there's this like system of strategic voting going on, which is the same thing that you saw in the U.S. People voting for one thing just because they don't want to give the vote to somebody else, and I can admit I'm guilty of doing that. But I think there's this system in place where people just are voting one way or the other just to avoid that Liberal vote or to take away the votes from the PCs or to take away the votes from the NDPs. But I'd say there's a pretty even, not even divide, but it's pretty much between the PCs and the NDPs right now. And I think a lot of those votes are maybe Liberals who thought that the party was kind of screwed and kind of just was like, I have to choose either one or the other. So there's this system of having to strategically vote right now, which, like I said, we saw with the Trump election.
Yeah, no, that's what happened with Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania flipping Trump. It was the steel workers and sort of the Rust Belt tired of Democratic negligence. And I think that a lot of people are tired of Liberal negligence.
Yeah.
And I just want to jump in here, but Will. But based on the fact that nobody was able to answer that question, we'll make an easier question. Which party does not support back-to-work legislation? You answer that question, you win that $30 gift card to the Eaton Center. But we have about, I'd say, 12 minutes to discuss two topics, which are healthcare and economy. So we gotta have to rush through them. 5 minutes on healthcare. What would Ford do? What has Wynne done? And what would Andrea Horwath do?
I've said enough about healthcare. Someone else take this.
I think I saw something from McLean saying that Doug Ford wants to like lower the cost of like bedding or something, or not bedding, but the for patients to like stay in a bed.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to add more.
He wanted to add more beds.
7,000 hospital beds.
Yeah, that's what it is. But like at the plan, like I guess like if you crunch the numbers for like the maintenance fee for like maintaining just one bed, under the NDP plan it would be like 73,000. Under the Liberal it would be like just under 70, and under Doug Ford's plan, it's going to be like the cost is like $5,000 per bed, which is like how good is that bed going to be for that patient?
Yeah.
If it's going to be costing so much little in comparison to what other parties wanted to spend, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can actually pull up the article right there, the second one, in the other tab. You can scroll down and you can look at the last-minute voting guides of healthcare, and you can mention it.
Where is it right there?
Right there, you just passed it.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
Which one would you want to talk about?
Just talk about what would each person do, like skim through it.
Yeah.
Each party
all right, so then the Liberal was proposing a free prescription drugs for children, youth, and seniors, an extra $822 million for hospitals for the next year, $19 billion in 10 years for additional hospital projects, $650 million over 3 years for home care, and an extra $2.1 billion for mental health and addiction.
Yeah.
PC platform was very similar in terms of implementing. They're going to implement more money for mental health and addiction, and what is it? Free dental care for low-income seniors, and there you go. The long-term care beds for over 5 years, and then they just want to cut hospital wait times and end hallway medicine, but they've just said that in such a bland and like I want to see like what does that mean by that, and that because it's in air quotes. And NDP just literally just wants to put as much money as possible into every single public institution, and just pray for the best. And we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I'd love to see what's going to happen now, like with what the compromise is going to be between the Conservatives and NDPs, and I mean for healthcare.
Yeah.
See what they are going to cut, what they're not going to cut. So.
And we were talking about before the fact that Ford is suggesting more funding for like mental health and addiction, which I really like. I think
everyone's been a very big proponent for that, especially.
Yeah, we haven't focused on that as much as a provincial government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And before we go forward, I just want to congratulate Rob Onneville. We changed the question to what party doesn't support back-to-work legislation, and he has answered NDP. So congratulations to Rob. You've won a $30 Toronto Eaton Centre gift card. A little more enthusiasm, guys. Come on.
I am very jealous, to be completely honest with you. So congratulations. What's his name? Rob?
Rob Onneville.
You go, Rob.
So you've won a $30
you go, Glen Coco.
Eaton Centre gift card courtesy of Seal City. Now let's move forward to...
He's going to probably spend it all on socks.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Might be
not a bad investment.
Yeah,
$30 worth of socks.
You'll never go bad with socks. Like it's never a bad purchase.
Socks are in fashion right now.
Do you want to check out these bad boys?
Oh God.
Oh boy.
Let's see.
Oh, he's actually.
Are those palm trees?
They're pink flamingos.
Pink flamingos.
Love them.
I like it.
So, before we continue to the last, we still have more healthcare and economy to talk about, right? But before we continue, let's mention our third and final prize, and that winner will actually be announced at the end of the show. But that's coming from Vaughan Pizza Fest. Our grand prize winner will be getting 2 free front stage tickets to Vaughan Pizza Fest, which is a total value of $100. Obviously provided by Vaughan Pizza Fest. Now, what is it? It was founded by Remo Palladini. It's the premier pizza festival in the GTA, featuring 25 pizzerias from across Ontario, the World Pizza Eating Championship featuring world champion eater Joey Jaws Chestnut, as well as live wrestling and tons of live music from your favorites, including DJ Pauly D.
Wow.
Stevie B.
DJ Pauly D.
Yeah, Stevie B.
GTL, baby.
And Lil Susie. Now, I don't know who the other two are, but I only listen to Celine Dion, so that might be
Wait,
because of that.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So, I just want to give a shout out. Theodore, if you're watching this, can you please get those tickets? Try to win them. If you've been listening, get them.
You got to comment.
Get
Who's
them.
Been
Comment
the most?
and get them. Thank you.
So now I'd love those tickets too, right? But alas, they're not for me. They're for our most active commenter on the show today, which will be decided in about 15 minutes, even potentially tomorrow. So you still have time to win. But let's go back to healthcare. Let's talk about, we mentioned hospital wait times, but is there anything else anyone wants to mention about healthcare? Daniel.
I think I saw something else from the NDP platform that to enhance, because they want to implement pharmacare, maybe a switch of using generics instead. But I don't know if that actually would be. Is that something they actually seriously considering? Or?
So what their plan is they want to have universal pharmacare.
Okay.
So it's the coverage of 100 of the top 125 most used medicines, and then a debate about adding additional medicines onto after that. And the wise decision would be to buy the generic brand.
Yeah.
Because the generic brand does the
exactly
exact
the same thing, but a ridiculously lower cost.
Yeah. So if you're going to have, government-run universal pharmacare, that would be the wisest decision. So that was the sort of support of the.
That's something that
brand.
I can get my hand around.
Yeah,
support it.
I don't know if Doug Ford is going to cancel what the Liberals have done for the free.
With the OHIP Plus, you mean? Or?
Yeah, no, for the free pharmacare for people under 25. But we'll see. I don't know if Will or Jaquan want to.
You want them to cut that?
Yeah,
you want them to?
I mean, I think this is all part of the economy discussion, if we can even move into that.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to that. We're going to talk about Theodore's watching.
This is a test, and I guarantee he has been watching the whole time, so there's no chance. But
still, you never know.
We'll
see. Economy. Let's talk about the debt. Let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about GDP. Let's talk about the province. Where do you want to begin? Let's go to Will.
Oh, thank you.
Begin us. Start us off.
All right. The economy is kind of something that I'm really passionate about. So I think it's the most important issue to me when I go to the ballot and vote. For me, the biggest issue in this whole election, I know there were a lot, but for me it was the carbon tax. And only one party was absolutely against the carbon tax, and that was the Progressive Conservative Party.
Yeah.
And the reason I think the carbon tax is so bad, it's not because I hate the environment or anything like that. I actually think there's a really strong ethical argument against the carbon tax and a really strong environmental argument against the carbon tax. Number one, the carbon tax, everyone wants to say it's some cap and trade that all the factories are going to pay and they're going to pollute less. It's really not what it is. What the carbon tax is doing is adding 30 cents a liter to your gasoline at the tank. Last time I filled up my tank, it was like $1.35, almost $1.40 sometimes per liter to fill my car. And that's just really absurd. And additionally, you want to look at the cost of hydro. One of the reasons the cost of heating your home is rising so much is because of the carbon tax as well. What the carbon tax is doing is actually, it's not a big punishment on giant corporations who can afford it anyway. It's really a tax on the middle class and specifically the lower class. You see, the carbon tax is actually a regressive tax. It's the opposite of this idea where the rich people pay a higher percent. With the carbon tax, the poor people actually pay a higher percent of their effective income. Because let's say the low income earner spends, the same amount on gasoline and heating their home as the middle class or wealthy earner, which they do. It's not like they're driving any more or less. It's not like they're going to quit their job if the price of gas goes up 5 cents. No one has any choice but to pay these fixed costs. But these fixed costs as a total percent of your total income are a much higher percent when you're a low income individual as opposed to a middle class or high class individual. So therefore, the carbon tax is actually a tax on the poor and it benefits the rich. It's actually against everything that the NDP and the Liberals say they supposedly stand for. Additionally, it doesn't do anything to help climate change whatsoever, which I totally believe in. I think there is man-made climate change, but the carbon tax doesn't fix that. It's not like, oh, you know what, gas just went up 30 cents a liter. I guess I'm just going to quit my job and not drive to work anymore. I guess I'm not going to heat my home in the winter. Like, we would die. We have no choice but to pay this ridiculous carbon tax, right? It's not really making any impact on the environment at all. All it does is harm the economy and the worst off in the economy.
So let's say that you had were whispering behind the ear of Rob Ford in terms of the carbon tax stuff. Would you be doing what Saskatchewan is doing and challenging going through the Supreme Court to challenge what the federally mandated carbon tax is? Because they've said that they're forced to implement one, or else they're just going to use the federal carbon tax.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're doing totally the right thing.
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing with Saskatchewan and now in Ontario is an enactment and a representation of the will of the people.
Oh boy.
Thanks, guys.
Jay?
What more is there to say? I mean, that was I agree 100%. The main reason I think a lot of people supported Doug was because of scrapping the carbon tax. It wasn't a big key issue for me, but I understand why it is for a lot of people. And I absolutely agree with what you're saying about poor people ending up paying more. And also, I think I don't have the answer to it, but I don't think it's the best way to discourage bad behavior, like bad environmental behavior. I don't think it's the most like thought through idea.
Well, I'm just a little shocked by what Daniel has just. It's
oh yeah,
hot
you saw
here.
me doing it.
What did you just pull up?
I just saw something pull up, but they just posted like 3 minutes ago that Kathleen Wynne's stepping down as leader of the Ontario Liberal Party.
That doesn't surprise
Oh,
me.
wow.
No, that's why. I just wanted to see like a confirmation of that. So
It's interesting though
Yeah.
because I
It's-
remember that she said like in the
Goodbye.
campaign that even if she doesn't become premier, she's still going to stay on as an MP, or MPP.
Yeah,
I heard
so
that.
it's funny though because they just posted this. It's still not clear whether Wynne will win her seat in her riding, and it's like damn, like that hasn't been
I don't
called,
know,
or
like-
has she won it? I'm pretty sure she won it. Like it's very close right now. Like I think one of like Adams and I friends, Zagros, he's like talking about how close the riding is right now, like in terms of votes. It's still not 100% yet. So
How long do you guys think it will take the Liberal Party to recover from this?
3 elections. I'm saying 3 elections.
3 elections.
Really?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Man, this is going to take a lot
Adam
of
is
work.
a bit of a fortune teller, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question too? Like, who's going to replace Kathleen Wynne? 'Cause
Yeah.
this is huge now. For me, I think it's going to be John Tory. But what do you guys all think?
No,
Really?
no. I don't think it's going to
Really?
be John Tory.
I don't think.
That's my prediction.
I think the MP for our riding actually is a good contender, Michel Couteau. I think that now that he's won his seat, he's sort of like the last Liberal, stand in the province, or whoever is representing Ottawa Vanier, because Ottawa Vanier has been Liberal and will be Liberal forever, I think. So I think Michel Couteau is a very driving force, and I think they need some, like Kathleen Wynne had the breakthrough as the first openly gay leader. I think that the Liberals need to shake things up a little more. And Michel Couteau is, 1, he's black. 2, he's a member of like the Canadian Black Caucus and very active in the Canadian Black community. So I think that might be an advantage for the Liberals as well. But I don't know. I have no idea. That I could be very biased because he's my MP. But,
I think Liberals playing like identity politics is kind of like what got them in the situation already. To be honest, like I don't think that will like help at all. And like I don't know about John Tory. I could see that, but I don't know.
No, but he's running again for mayor.
Like, and this might be like kind of like raunchy to say, but based on what I just said, I don't see the Liberal Party electing a white male to be the leader.
Yeah.
Is that, in my opinion, though, like, is that not their problem that they're like so down this social justice path like they're shooting themselves in the foot? Like, honestly, if the Liberals went a little closer to the right, they'd probably smoke the NDP and probably the Conservatives.
For sure.
Ontario is a pretty liberal place. The Liberals just took from the NDP playbook this whole election cycle.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, like, I get where you're coming from. Like, I agree with your argument to a certain extent, but the NDP tried that. They tried to go further right last election. Like, if you look at their platform from last election, it looked almost center-right. And they tried that route to sort of appeal to more conservative voters. And they didn't go up or down in seats. They stayed the same. So I think that...
well, like the most undecided voters are Liberals, so it's like...
The thing is, the NDP and the Conservatives share about 5% of the same voter base, but the Liberals and NDP share about 14% of the same voter base.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to who can jump from what ship to the other.
Exactly.
And the Conservatives are going to have their supporters do or die no matter what. So I think that...
I don't know. It's a sad day for Liberals and for the Liberal Party, obviously. But
it's
deserved.
deserved.
It's well
it's a long time coming.
Yeah,
I think we can
a
all
long
agree
time
to that.
coming.
I as much as I hate Doug Ford, if I haven't made that clear already, then I failed. But I think it's deserved.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hopefully they rise from the ashes and just try to come with like.
Well, you
like
know
a
what?
different
The
platform.
federal Liberals did it. Anything is possible.
It's scary,
but I mean,
times are changing.
Yeah.
Looking at the fact that the Ontario Liberals are gone, do you think just a ballpark question, but do you think the federal Liberals are going to win the next election?
I don't know.
Yes.
I think they're going to lose less.
Trudeau would lose?
I think they're
against
going to
Scheer?
lose seats for
Yeah,
sure.
they'll lose seats.
I think Trudeau. Okay, it's hard to say, but I think Trudeau has I don't know, he's built himself up off of this platform, and he's not even sticking to most of the stuff that he said he was going to do, or that I think if he does lose the position, it's because people don't trust him.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah,
that's fair.
As they shouldn't.
Wow, hot take. I think that's really it. We still got 7 minutes, but I'll start wrapping up. But that was our summer special 2018. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and commented. We've got, I believe, over 100 comments. Your participation is key to us being able to do what we do. Again, I got to thank Sean Haswell for giving me access to the damn building to do the whole show, Lori Beckstead for approving the show to begin with, and Kevin Konarzuski, who helped make the studio function properly, as well as the EDC, who's given us a bunch of equipment to use. This show wouldn't have been possible without you. I'd also like to thank Adam, Daniel, Marshall, Jaquan, Christina, and Will, all of you, for being on the show. You honestly, you guys make the show, right? Without you guys, there's no show, and it's so great to hear differing opinions and to actually have legitimate discussions on the show, because I believe that that's something that we need to have more of. So thank you guys.
Man. We couldn't have done it without you. You really are the glue of this boat that holds it together, and the captain of the ship.
Is there any other closing comments? Yep. Sorry, I dozed off there.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
I'm happy it was so constructive too.
Yeah,
People with a bunch of differing ideologies. I think it says a lot that we can all come together and have a civil discussion about it. And
I would say I learned a lot as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And again, thank you for being here, especially Will being last minute. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And we'll hopefully be back in September for season 5 of the Raben Report. We still got a couple minutes. Is there any last words you guys have to say?
Good luck.
Twas a good night.
Good luck to all of us.
It was
honestly. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say, was it more or less shocking than Trump winning?
More, because there's more of an impact.
Really? Like in terms of like personal impact, or just
personal, definitely
Fair.
not.
Yeah.
I called Trump winning 3 weeks before the election happened.
I saw both winning, to be honest.
I really hope for the NDP.
Polls lie, though.
Yeah. Polls are good at telling, I think, what's going on, not really what will happen.
True.
That's a really good point.
That's my kind of...
That's wisdom.
Yeah, I don't
that is
like
right
down someone.
Bars.
Yeah.
One more time for us?
Tweet that right now.
Wow. I know, yeah.
Polls have a general idea of...
like what's going on,
yeah,
not
you
what
say
will
it.
happen.
I don't want to plagiarize.
Oh.
No, you summarized it even better than I did.
Bars.
We'll take your soundbite.
Guys, personally, I couldn't be happier. We got dollar beers now. Shout out to Doug Ford. He called this campaign for the people, but it's really for the boys. Dollar beers for the boys. Let's crack some cold ones. Let's have a great summer, guys.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like anyone can support that vote. Like you don't have to be from the left or right to support cracking a couple cold ones with the boys. So.
I would take healthcare over dollar beers.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. Yeah, I mean that's really it. We'll again hopefully be back for season 5. I once again just want to thank our sponsors. So the first one is Wolfapalooza. Thank you for the $25 Ren's gift card. Then we also want to thank Seal City for the $30 Eaton Center gift card. And then lastly, our main giveaway sponsor, Von Pizza Fest, which the winner will be announced tomorrow. So we're going to leave you guys in suspense. The winner's going to be announced tomorrow. We'll see if Theodore wins. We'll see. But definitely great show. And from all of us at the Raben Report, thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll hopefully see you in September.
Buenas noches.
Have a good night.
Stay beautiful.